One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 481-500. 481 Conquering Masaki's Body. Maybe he knew that there was no way to stop it, or maybe he knew that it had happened. No matter how much he resisted, no matter how unwilling he was, there was no way to change it. Kurosaki Masaki, from the fierce resistance at the beginning to the end, he was like a shameless slut in Liu Chengkong's crotch frantically begged for love. Ishin, I'm sorry for you, I hate my body, why is my body so unsatisfactory? Kurosaki Masaki let out a seductive moan, but she cried out in grief, but the expression on her face was different. It is very strange, with pain, joy, and unwillingness. Thinking about it, she is just a human now. She has been sealed for so many years, she has never had sex, and is a woman who has children. As the saying goes, 30 is like a wolf, 40 is like a tiger. An ordinary human woman is her. How simple is her mind? Her body can only surrender to Liu Chengkong, a super veteran. The desire in her heart, which had been dormant for 8 years, was once provoked, and she faced Liu Chengkong's terrifying size. No one could compare to Kurosaki Ishin. Her body had already surrendered to Liu Chengkong. Hey, call, the more you call me, the happier you will be. After all, Kurosaki Masaki is just an ordinary human, and her body can't take it even if she is like a wolf or a tiger. So Liu Chengkong didn't lash out anymore, and fired directly to let the Kurosaki Masaki, who had come down from her orgasm, climb to her orgasm again. Why do you treat me like this? I have no grudges against you, why? Kurosaki Masaki blushed, looking at Liu Chengkong with very complicated eyes, and said lazily. No reason, just because I like you and want to get you. You will still be called Kurosaki Masaki in the future, but you are not someone's wife or mother, but my Liu Chengkong's private property. Liu Chengkong said, incomparably domineering. The tone of voice was unmistakable, making Kurosaki Masaki shed 2 tears. Am I really wrong? Why should I become human? If I still have the power, I won't be like this. If Liu Chengkong has his heart at this time, he will be very surprised, because Kurosaki Masaki's idea is no less than directly saying that he once had a strong power. It seems that Urahara Kazuki's guess is right. The one on Kurosaki Ichigo the Reiatsu, whose shares do not belong to him, may really belong to the Kurosaki Masaki in front of him. In fact, it is true. It is true that the current Kurosaki Masaki is a human being, but she and Kurosaki is the god of death a long time ago, but after having a family, they left the soul world. She wants to live an ordinary life, but she doesn't know that the world wants to live an ordinary and stable life. For those who used to have power, for someone like her, who has such an attractive appearance, there is no such thing as strong power. To guarantee. In order to protect her from leaving, Kurosaki came to the world, used Wuyu Ultimate Crescent Moon Sky Chong, and lost the power of death, so she felt ashamed and lived as a human, and didn't want to think about herself. The identity of the god of death, and she has lost the power of the god of death for herself, so there is no need for her to hold back. Anyway, she also likes power, so she transferred her violent use of secret techniques to Kurosaki Ichigo and Mozuki Yuko, Kurosaki Natsumi's 3 children. Of course, one family accounted for the largest share. And she did this, which was different from Kurosaki's single-minded use of Wuyu. Instead, she lost the power of the god of death forever and became a normal person with a lifespan of just 100 years, just like ordinary people, or she wanted to watching her child grow up, then age by herself, and slowly finish her life. She longs for the life of an ordinary person to be the same as the Soma Yoshino in the original book, but unfortunately she doesn't have this opportunity. Are you longing for an ordinary life? It's really stupid. You can tell it's the daughter of a daughter at first glance. Don't you know that being weak and ordinary is a sin? Cry. If you cry again, I will immediately kill the Kurosaki family. Maybe Liu Chengkong's words had an effect. The crying Kurosaki Masaki immediately shut up, full of tears, looking pitiful, and with no clothes on. That mature beautiful woman's jade body was very attractive. Don't worry, as long as you are obedient to me, and the Kurosaki family doesn't provoke me, I won't do anything to them, but you have to remember that from now on, you are my slave girl. It only belongs to me, Lu Chengkong, who uses it alone. Forget everything about your past. From now on, you will only have me as a master and serve me wholeheartedly. Maybe one day I will be happy to release your status as a slave girl and make you my wife and concubine. Indefinite. Lu Chengkong found that he was really a very contradictory person. Maybe human beings are a very contradictory creature. At first, Feijun called himself a servant, but Lu Chengkong was reluctant in every possible way. But facing Kurosaki Masaki, no knowing why Lu Chengkong felt a sense of violence in his heart, he wanted to lash out and possess her. Damn, I, Kurosaki Masaki, have actually fallen to this point, but if I don't do what she says in the way I am a normal human now, they will surely die in one household, and I think I have stayed here for at least 5 hours. It's been 6 years, forget it, I've already given it to him anyway, and she got my body again, even if I resist, it's useless, it will harm the wanderers and the others, so I can only pretend. Quote. Kurosaki Masaki struggled constantly, all kinds of emotions flickered, and finally calmed down. It seems that she is not an ordinary person. A normal woman will definitely cry and cry when she encounters such a big change, and she will die, but she actually so quickly calmed down and think clearly about the pros and cons, it's not easy. I hope you do what you say, otherwise I won't let you go even if I turn into a ghost. Kurosaki Masaki glanced at Lu Chengkong resentfully, but sighed helplessly in her heart. She actually hated Lu Chengkong the most. In the sky, what she hates most is her own body. Thinking of being shameless and courting this hateful man just like a dissatisfied slut, she felt a burst of shame, but her body couldn't refuse this feeling. It seemed that Lu Chengkong's capital was really enough abundant, the technology is also great enough. Of course, the most important thing is that Kurosaki Masaki was not satisfied with Kurosaki Isshin. Back then, Kurosaki Isshin used Wuyu not only to lose the power of the god of death, but also to be seriously injured, and his ability to have sex gradually lost. After having children for so many years, it has never been satisfied. She is not a reaper, it is impossible to control her own physical needs, it is not easy to endure it for more than 10 years. And her self-esteem does not allow her to be like a human being, so her needs have never been met. Until liberation, there is not even sex, it has been accumulated for so many years, plus it has been sleeping here for more than 10 years. She has been provoked for more than 10 years, otherwise, no matter how sensitive and unbearable her body is, no matter how powerful Lu Chengkong's capital is, it is impossible for Kurosaki Masaki's body to be unable to stop. 482 Orihime Inoue. Get dressed, and you can stay out of this palace for a period of time in the future. You can do whatever you want inside. Lu Chengkong knew that Kurosaki Masaki hadn't had sex for a long time, otherwise the lower body would not be more urgent than sex. It seems that Kurosaki Yixin may not be able to do it very well, or he has been injured, otherwise Lu Chengkong is really impossible. So easy to do. In Lu Chengkong's eyes, he saw how the flesh of his mouth could make her fly away, and now he has initially conquered Kurosaki Masaki's body, no matter how much Kurosaki Masaki hates himself, but as long as he comes to satisfy her every day, I believe it won't take long for her body to be inseparable from her forever, and she will vomit directly when she sees other men, so her betrayal will be stopped. It's not very good to deal with the god of death or use this method, but dealing with Kurosaki Masaki, who is just a human now, is still not easy. As long as she completely conquers her body, she will slowly let Kurosaki Masaki's body and mind work through the dependence of her body. If you fall into your own hands, you will fall into your own hands forever, and you will never be able to extricate yourself. Kurosaki Masaki was only forced to surrender on the surface due to Lu Chengkong's threat. Of course, he didn't have a good face for Lu Chengkong, but when he saw the stickiness of his lower body, his face blushed, and he quickly shook his head. The picture drove him out, took a new dress that Lu Chengkong handed over and put it on. Remember, before you get my recognition, you can't call yourself me in front of me, but use slave, or slave family. Lu Chengkong started his own policy of forced brainwashing again. She didn't need Kurosaki Masaki to call it that right away, it was impossible, unless she was born to be a human being, such as Madonna, with Kurosaki Masaki's inner pride and self-esteem. Even if her body succumbed, her mind couldn't succumb. All he needed was for Kurosaki Masaki to remember, let her develop this habit, and his dragon kept bombing her every day, subtly controlling her body affects her heart. It won't be long before she is in bed, at least when she is in bed in front of her body desires, she will call herself that with sincerity, and if she continues to develop in this way, one day Kurosaki Masaki will completely become a person who only belongs to her. The most loyal and impossible to betray a slave girl. The slave family knows. Kurosaki Masaki's face sank, and he was about to refute, but thinking of the strength of this man and the children in his family, he suddenly suppressed his anger. When did she suffer from such anger? But in the end I had to say it reluctantly. Good. Lu Chengkong burst out laughing. Coming to the world of death may be a good choice. It will be even better after he wakes up his wives. At least here, he doesn't have to worry about everything, he doesn't feel any guilt, and he can completely the venting to satisfy the evil side of oneself, belongs to the devil side. Lu Chengkong didn't realize that he was becoming more and more like a demon. Maybe he really fell into a demon with the awakening of the demon heart, but this might be good, at least the demon can control everything, make others miserable, and make himself happy. As long as it is an intelligent creature, it is selfish. Yes, isn't it the best choice to be a demon to satisfy all of your selfishness? If possible, Lu Chengkong would never choose this most violent and direct method. Although this is very cool, it is too uninteresting, but he knows that if he uses the policy of pursuit or something, it will be very mysterious for Kurosaki Masaki's identity, and a woman who already has a family and a child, and a beautiful woman with a very firm mind, has absolutely no way to do it, so Lu Chengkong chose this method after considering various factors. As for why Lu Chengkong was able to directly interact with Masaki Kurosaki, who is now a human, without using a spirit skeleton, what he did is very simple. After breaking the limit, the 60 years of cultivation have given Lu Chengkong the power to control the spirit child. Ability. Not relying on the spirit control gloves, but a kind of ability that can only be possessed by the god of death or emptiness that breaks the limit. As long as Lu Chengkong thinks about it, he can completely turn himself into an entity like a human being, and his power will not change in the slightest. After all, everything in the world of death is made up of spiritual sons, and Lu Chengkong, who can control spiritual sons, can of course transform each other. Everything that followed was as scheduled as the original development. Ichigo Kurosaki became the god of death with the help of Rukia, holding a huge Zanpakuto instead of Rukia to kill Shu. Boom! With a rumbling sound, a big hole appeared in the wall of Inoue Orahime's house, and a ghost like a snake appeared suddenly, directly wounding Inoue Orahime's good friend Longwei, and at the same time killing Inoue Orahime. Ji's soul was brought out, and the body of the detached human being. Who are you? Don't come here, don't touch me. In the face of the unknown, both men and women are generally afraid, except for some special humans, so even a normally manly Dragon Gui was also frightened. After all, she didn't know what was going on at all. Longwei, it's me, Inoue Orahime, what's the matter with you? Inoue Orahime said puzzled. It's useless, Orahime, she can't hear what you and I said. Inoue Hao's voice was full of pain, and he was obviously affected by the power in his body after turning into an empty body. Now Orahime Inoue can't guess that this person is him at all, and it makes him disappointed and heartbroken. The last trace of shrewdness in his soul has disappeared, and he immediately fell into a state of rage and killing, and slashed at Orahime Inoue with one claw. Boom! It wasn't Inoue Orahime who was injured, but the huge Inoue Hao. The whole thing flew out. At the same time, a person appeared in front of Inoue Orahime. Of course, it was not Kurosaki Ichigo, but our protagonist Lu Chengkong, of course. There is also the grass deer Yachinliu sitting on his shoulders inseparable. Ah, you're a teacher. That's right, Lu Chengkong went to Inoue Orahime's class to make a cameo as a teacher when he was bored, especially after her brother died. Liu Chengkong often took care of Inoue Orihime as a teacher, and it was the biggest gain that Inoue Orihime did not have a crush on Kurosaki Ichigo, so Inoue Orihime immediately recognized the person in front of him. I said, "Orihime, you're still so stupid." Liu Chengkong didn't care about Inoue Hao behind him at all, but turned around and helped Inoue Orihime up, stretched out a finger to lightly touch her forehead with a flick. The invisible force directly brought Orihime Inoue's soul back into her body. "Okay, your soul and body have been reunited again, didn't I say? If there is anything that can't be solved, you can come to me." Liu Chengkong pretended to be annoyed and said that he had no share in the resurrection just now. Inoue Orihime, who lived in the southeast and northwest of the Qing dynasty, was very aggrieved. 483 Inoue Orihime's heart. "But I don't want to become the useless Orihime in your heart, who can't even do a little thing well, and I have to worry about everything." Although Inoue Orihime's reaction was a little slow, it was still quite fast at the critical moment, and he murmured immediately after regaining his senses. Liu Chengkong never thought that he would leave such an important place in Inoue Orihime's heart. In fact, Liu Chengkong had neglected one thing. Inoue Orihime had been dependent on her brother since she was a child. After her brother died, the mind is at its weakest and most vulnerable to invasion. In the original book, it was Ichigo Kurosaki who cared about her very much at that time, and that made Orihime Inoue finally fall in love with a family. There was also a reason why Ichigo Kurosaki passed on his affection for Hao Inoue to Ichigo Kurosaki, although it eventually became love. But now Liu Chengkong has replaced Kurosaki Ichigo, and extended a helping hand to Inoue Orihime when she was the saddest and most helpless. The gap between giving charcoal in the snow and the icing on the cake is here, so Liu Chengkong has paid a lot of money. Little, but very easily captured the heart of Inoue Orihime. Inoue Orihime was still ignorant at that time, and of course she didn't know what kind of feelings she had in her heart, but as she grew up, although she was still very simple and naturally dumb, it didn't mean she was an idiot, and gradually I understand that the feeling in my heart for this teacher who cares about me very much is the so-called love between men and women, that is, the so-called secret love. But Orihime Inoue was very unconfident and felt that she was useless and would only drag Liu Chengkong, so even if Liu Chengkong asked her to ask him for help in any difficult matter, Orihime Inoue did not do so, but no matter how hard she worked she gritted her teeth and pushed through. The problem is not a little thing anymore, forget it, let you talk to him in person. Liu Chengkong looked at Inoue Orihime's bright brown eyes that were twinkling with tears, stretched out a hand, and flew out Hao Inoue uncontrollably. It flew in front of Liu Chengkong again. Broken. Liu Chengkong spit out a cold word, and at the same time Hao Inoue's mask shattered immediately, revealing a face that made Inoue Orihime stunned. "Brother!" Inoue Orihime exclaimed in disbelief. "Isn't her brother dead? How can it be? And it has become like this. The emptiness in your brother's body has been sealed by me. If you have anything to say, please tell me slowly." Liu Chengkong really didn't have much interest in such a warm scene. Capturing her was just that Liu Chengkong thought it must be very difficult. After all, although this woman is naturally dumb and slow to respond, she is very stubborn. Once she decides, she will never look back, so Liu Chengkong was worried that she would have the same crush on Kurosaki Ichigo as in the original book, and was going to use some special means. Now it seems that this is not the case. This stupid little girl seems to have a crush on herself. I see, it seems that the reason is her brother. Liu Chengkong is not an idiot after all. Although the plot of the God of Death is not important, he has already forgotten about it, but he has more or less memory, and soon he will understand now. It turns out that her helping hand to her after her brother's accident made her gradually rely on her, and she passed on her affection for Inoue Hao to herself. With the development of time, it has caused qualitative changes. In addition, the girl's heart is full of spring, and she has a good family relationship as a background. Once it changes, of course, her crush on herself will go out of control, just like the original book. She secretly fell in love with Kurosaki Ichigo, but now the object of his crush has become Liu Chengkong. Ichigo Kurosaki, I feel a little sorry for you. I robbed your mother, and now I have cut you off, so that you can't come over, and I have robbed the heroine of the original book who had a crush on you, but forget it. You don't know how to love her, so leave this glorious and arduous task to me. Lu Chengkong thought very shamelessly. At the same time, he also found that he seemed to have become more cheeky than before, but he not only didn't think there was anything wrong with this, but he thought it was a good phenomenon. After all, he has a thick face and a dark heart. No matter what era, no matter what the world is, he can live offended and nourished. As long as he is happy and his important family members are happy, then whether others suffer or die, he has nothing to do with him. After regaining consciousness, Inoue Hao immediately understood what he had done before, and he immediately looked annoyed and regretful. Of course, he was also a little fortunate. Fortunately, Lu Chengkong arrived in time, otherwise it would have been miserable. The two talked for a long time, and all the knots in their hearts for many years were unraveled. Of course, they were very happy, but Inoue Orahime's face fell again after learning that her brother was about to die again. Don't worry, he won't really die, but went to Soul Realm. Lu Chengkong knew that it was time for him to appear. Soul World, Inoue Orihime said inexplicably, but she just had one advantage. She knew when to ask and when not to ask. In her opinion, as long as her brother didn't really die, it would be fine. The phantom in your body devoured a lot of souls. After I purify him, he will go to the Soul Realm, and the phantom's violence will also be obtained by your brother. At that time, he will be different from ordinary people. Although his violence won't make him a genius, it's still okay to enter Siriti and try to be a god of death, so you don't have to worry about him. If you're lucky, your brother won't be a problem to live for hundreds of years. Lu Chengkong wasn't comforting Orihime Inoue. With his help, Hao Inoue's virtual violence was absorbed by him. He wouldn't become an ordinary resident of Liuhun Street even if he went to the Soul World, he could do the worst. A god of death, although not very powerful, it is much better than ordinary residents, and once he becomes a god of death, no matter how weak he is, as long as he is not killed, his natural lifespan will be at least a few hundred years. Thank you, I'm very grateful for everything you've done for Orihime. If it wasn't for you after my death, Orihime wouldn't be able to recover so quickly. I can't repay it. Inoue Hao thanked Lu Chengkong very gratefully. He bowed, but he was right, he really couldn't repay it, and finally he could only say to Inoue Orihime. You will listen to. My name is Lu Chengkong. In the future, you have to listen to Mr. Lu Chengkong's words. My brother can no longer take care of you by your side like before. Brother. Inoue Orihime shook her head, full of tears, and in the end she could only turn everything in her heart into a very simple sentence. Brother, go all the way, Orihime is not too young, she will not be like before. Childish and ignorant. 484 Mako's murder. Understood, then I'll go. Hao Inoue nodded, without any fear. Lu Chengkong stretched out his hand, and Hao Inoue immediately disappeared into a ray of light. Although she knew that Inoue Hao would not die completely, Inoue Orihime was still very sad, because she knew that she might never see his brother again. The sadness in her heart and the many extraordinary things that happened today made her very helpless. Seeing Lu Chengkong by her side, with the nostalgia in her heart, she involuntarily and naturally fell to Lu Chengkong. Sobbing in his arms. Cry out all the unhappiness in your heart. You won't be unhappy anymore. After today, you can move into my house. I'm really worried about your stupid appearance. Lu Chengkong touched. He whispered softly into her head. Yeah, Xiaoji, Xiaokong's family is very big. There are many people, you won't be lonely when you come. Bachenliu jumped out and said at a critical moment, but she was still crying because of her smiling face. Inoue Orihime suddenly suffocated. She couldn't go up or down. She really couldn't stop crying when she looked at this cute little girl in front of her. I see. Inoue Orihime didn't refuse this time. After such a big change, she was also indifferent. In her heart, the man she trusted the most was the man in front of her, and her brother asked her to be obedient. Moreover, she really didn't want to be self-willed, not to mention she really wanted to stay with Lu Chengkong. You don't have to worry about that Long Gui. I'll let her forget everything about today, all of it, and the same goes for her injuries. Lu Chengkong disappeared in a flash, and appeared in front of Long Gui almost at the same time. He healed her injury with a ghost, then washed her memory, and then picked her up and used Shunpo. Bring her into the house, and immediately return to Inoue Orihime. Although so much has been said, in fact, only about 3 seconds have passed, which is too fast. Even if the speed is increased to the extreme by Shun Chenye, in front of Lu Chengkong at this time, he may only be able to say one word. Out of sight. When Lu Chengkong finished everything and took away Orihime Inoue, Ichigo Kurosaki and Rukia, there was no reason for Hajime. She didn't become a noble, so she wasn't Kuchiki, arrived late. Hey, Rukia, what's going on? Seeing the scene in front of him, Kurosaki Ichigo had no choice but to leave the question to Kuchiki Rukia. I don't know either, but judging from the battle scene, there should be a Hulk who came to attack Orihime, but it should have been rescued, and the person who rescued her was very strong. Rukia looked at the scene carefully, and found that they were all traces of virtual destruction, and gave an answer after a little thought. What? Orihime was rescued. Could there be other gods of death besides you? And you said that he was very strong. How strong is that? Because of Lu Chengkong, Orihime did not have much interaction with Kurosaki Ichigo after her brother died. At best, she could only be regarded as a classmate and a good friend, and Kurosaki Ichigo was the same. In his heart, Orihime was not as important as the original novel. After all, when Orihime was at its weakest, the two of them didn't come together. Of course, there were no meetings that could spark a spark. Nonsense, if I'm the only god of death, how can I fight against so many emptiness? I'm not sure how strong it is, but one thing I can be sure of is that you are like an ant in front of him. Kuchiki Rukia looked directly at Ichigo Kurosaki with an idiot-like look, which made Ichigo Kurosaki, who had asked such a question, feel a little blush. Thinking about it, he also found that the question was a bit idiotic, but after hearing his own strength when he was like a curling ant in front of this unknown god of death, he immediately put on a bragging appearance. Believe it or not, it's up to you. If you can face this phantom so that he doesn't even have a chance to fight back, and when it's manipulated like a toy in your hand, you can say that you're powerful. Rukia said helplessly, although this guy has a good personality, he is too arrogant, and he really thinks he is so powerful without suffering. It seems that he has been a god of death for a while, killing some low-level condescension. He fluttered a bit. Lu Chengkong, Lu Chengkong, say you are ruthless, and you are so affectionate, but when you say you are affectionate, you are more cold-blooded than Aizen. I still remember those eyes so far. I didn't expect you to be so you will make a move, but then why are you so popular with women? Meiko and I are not much worse than your appearance. Why are we both single until now? Just after Kurosaki Ichigo and Rukia had both left one after another, Urahara Kazuki, who was wearing clogs, arrived, and when he spoke, he appeared to be very distressed. Chi, Kazuki, just like you are worthy of being compared to my handsome guy. I'm not single like you, and there are a lot of crushes chasing me. Hirako Meiko with shining teeth also appeared. I think these two guys are too free, but it is worth mentioning that the strength of Hirako Meiko, whose potential was not destroyed by the virtual experiment, is not comparable to the original work. As these 100 years have passed, his strength has become more and more unfathomable. Judging from his dashing and confident appearance, it is very likely that he has reached a level similar to Aizen, and has also reached the pinnacle of death. Just blow it. If Urahara Kazuki wanted to say the most unbelievable thing in this world, he would definitely say that Meiko has a girlfriend, and this guy may only be suitable for him in Hiyori. But what are you going to do? Lu Chengkong will definitely go to the Soul Realm. After all, Zibo Heian is the elder brother of one of his wives. With his personality, it would be impossible not to go, so what about you? Urahara Kazuki pressed his hat and covered his eyes, making it impossible to see his expression clearly. Go, why don't I go? Jiro, Kensai, I must avenge their revenge in Hyo. If Aizen destroys me, it's fine, but since he didn't destroy me, how could I repay him badly? On the surface, Mako Hirako was still smiling, but even Kazuki Urahara was shocked by the coldness and killing intent in his eyes. He didn't expect Mako Hirako's strength to improve so much. To ruin his life, after experiencing setbacks, Hirako Mako after growing up is really terrifying. In the end, Aizen was still a chess move. It didn't destroy Hirako Mako's potential. Instead, he took advantage of that incident to make a transformation. In the past 100 years, his strength has surpassed that of the entire Masked Corps. Maybe in the Masked Army, only Kuchiki Shanghai can be equal to him. 485 Byakuya, Renji arrives. That guy Mako is really, it seems that Kazuki Urahara has brought that up again. Kuchiki Kyukawa opened his eyes and said in the direction of Hirako Mako. However, I didn't expect Mako's strength to improve to such a degree. It seems that Aizen did not destroy him is really one of the biggest mistakes in his life. Time flies, 2 months have passed without knowing it, and it also means that Rukia has lived in this world for almost 2 months. Of course, the most important thing is that today is the beginning of the whole thing, because the Blue Ran has already made arrangements, prepared the Tianluodi net to let Lu Chengkong and others go to the Soul Realm to drill, and he also issued an order to arrest Rukia through the 46th room. Has the game started? Aizen, although Heian has nothing to do with me, his sister is my wife after all. In terms of relationship, she can be regarded as my brother-in-law. Since you moved my brother-in-law, it should be done by me. Prepare to be tortured. Lu Chengkong grinned Isho, looking at the pitch-black night sky, feeling that the tranquil world suddenly had 2 powerful spiritual pressures. Needless to say, the 2 gods of death, Kuchiki Byakuya and Asane Renji, who came to arrest Rukia. I don't know how many years have passed, Kuchiki Byakuya, how much have you improved? I hope it won't be too weak, otherwise killing you would be too unfulfilling. Lu Chengkong glanced at Fei Zhen who was arranging the quilt and said suddenly. Rukia will be fine, but it is inevitable to suffer a little bit. I will bring her here after this time, but she will be arrested and returned to the Soul Realm today. Do you want it? To see her? Okay. Fei Zhen hesitated for a while, but finally couldn't help but nodded to Rukia's thoughts and agreed. By the way, Fei Zhen, how's Nianmeng going? Lu Chengkong then remembered Nianmeng, this woman brought by him, although she had extraordinary wisdom, but when he took her away, the mind is still as blank as a newborn baby, and he has no experience in dealing with people at all, and he does not understand the sinister nature of the human heart. She is doing very well. She is now a research assistant for Miss Landau, and Miss Landau has also removed the explosive device in her body, so now Yinmeng is nothing. Fei Zhen knew everything about Lu Chengkong's family's affairs very well, and as a person who came to this place with her at the same time, Nianmeng was of course easier to get close to. Ni Yuli is really ruthless. Knowing that Nianmeng would not betray him, she still installed a self-exploding device in her body, killing her at any time. Fortunately, I also have a person here who is very proficient in spirit skeletons and spirit suns. The researcher, otherwise it is really a trouble. I hope you don't encounter me, or I don't mind putting you in an eternal sleep this time. A cold light flashed across Lu Chengkong's eyes, and he had already made a decision in his heart. Let's go. Lu Chengkong put away the killing intent in his heart, and took Fei Zhen to break through the air. If anyone saw the steps of Lu Chengkong's group at this time, it would be very strange. It was clear that Lu Chengkong and others walked very slowly, like an old man walking, but every step he took was already 5 meters away. Obviously, Lu Chengkong was already quite a bit at this time when he was chasing Mao Zhawali. The kind of powerful control that Huali showed. What's the matter? Isn't this kid already hurt like that? How could he still stand up, and the Reiatsu is still soaring? Asanjin Rinji stared at Kurosaki Ichigo who stood up and widened in surprise. He opened his eyes, and immediately he felt a flower in front of him, a pain in his left shoulder, and blood shot out. I said, your movements seem to be a little too slow. Kurosaki Ichigo burst out a powerful Reiki within his body that did not belong to him. It should be the Reiki Kurosaki Masaki gave him, but anyway, it is black now. Although Sake Ichigo has not fully absorbed it, his life is in danger every time his potential explodes or is injured. This spiritual pressure will be partially merged by him, just like now, in the state of the outbreak of spiritual pressure, and a Sanjin Renji can only use 1/5 of his strength to completely suppress a Sanjin Renji live. Boom! Kurosaki Ichigo held a knife in both hands and hit a Sanjin Renji's forehead at once. Although a Sanjin Renji finally blocked it, the huge force still shattered the goggles on his forehead, and the blood also smashed. Flowing down, not only that, the spiritual pressure on Kurosaki Ichigo is still rising, and at the same time Kurosaki Ichigo's speed and strength are also rising. Kurosaki Ichigo was unforgiving, and it was a violent slashing against a Sanjin Renji. It can be said that the rules are really chaotic, but with the speed and strength far exceeding that of a Sanjin Renji at this time, even if a Sanjin Renji's skills are good, the swordsmanship is useless. Your movements are really slow like a turtle. Didn't you just say you were going to cut each other? Why didn't you move? Mozuki Ichigo sneered, and the Reiatsu on his body suddenly concentrated on Aya in an unconscious state. Sanjin Renji's body made his body seem to be very heavy, and he didn't even have the strength to pick up the Zanpakuto. It seems that you don't have much ability anymore, and you can't get away. Kurosaki Ichigo roared, leaping in the air, holding a huge Zanpakuto and slashing towards a Sanjin Renji with the inertia of gravity. How is it possible that his spiritual pressure has actually risen to such a level that he can still rise? Damn, I can only use 1/5 of my strength. Now it's troublesome. A Sanjin Renji's face changed greatly. Looking at the double Zanpakuto's eyes widened rapidly, his eyes widened to the fullest. Brush. A Sanjin Renji didn't feel any pain. A gust of wind blew past, and the mighty Kurosaki Ichigo looked down at the Zanpakuto that had been broken at some point in his hand, and muttered to himself in disbelief. Broken. What's the matter? Could it be that the paralyzed man behind me attacked me? Ichigo Kurosaki turned around and found that Kuchiki Gyakuya was still standing, but he was holding his broken blade in his hand, and looked at him with disdain, as if letting him take action against him was wrong to him an insult. It's really him. What's the matter? I can't see how he moves at all. Damn it, he's going to attack. Ichigo Kurosaki saw Kuchiki Byakuya pull out his Zanpakuto, and he felt in his heart just now. When this thought came up, he only felt a trance, and when he came back to his senses, he only felt a sharp pain in his chest, and he collapsed weakly. One household. Rukia can be said to have a very similar side to her sister. That is, she is very affectionate friends. In her opinion, it is entirely because of herself that Ichigo Kurosaki is implicated in front of her, and she feels guilty worried. He ran over immediately, but it was a pity that Renji Sanjin didn't give him the chance at all, and stretched out his hand to Rukia's neck. 486. The protagonist usually appears at the latest. Boom. Accidents often happen when everyone thinks they won't happen. Asane Renji's hand is about to touch Rukia's neck and press her against the light pole so that she won't touch Kurosaki Ichigo. Obviously he didn't want to make Rukia's execution more severe, but unfortunately his hand hadn't touched Rukia's body yet. I only felt that the right hand was numb, and an invisible wave was released from Rukia's body, which directly blasted a Sanjin Renji out. What's the matter? A Sanjin Renji only felt that his head was not enough. Why are there so many strange things today? First, there was a little ghost who would burst out with a different kind of spiritual pressure, and he was inexplicably flattened. Good intentions do not want Rukia to be punished. He didn't let her touch Kurosaki Ichigo, but he was blown away again. At this moment, he deeply realized what it meant to be depressed and what it meant to cry without tears. Rukia. A voice suddenly floated, very gentle, containing a strong sense of concern and worry, causing a Sanjin Renji's eyes to widen. Even Kuchiki Gyakuya's pupils Vivi shrank, because this voice was very similar to Rukia herself. Then they saw a woman who looked exactly like her standing next to Rukia, but her temperament was very different. This woman who looked exactly like Rukia gave off a very weak feeling. Oh my god, what's going on? Two Rukias. Asanjing Renji exclaimed, wiping her eyes, and she didn't know what to do for a while after she made sure she wasn't hallucinating. The protagonist usually appears at the latest. Bai Zai, when have you been reduced to the point where you want to bully children to show off your strength? Originally, I was looking forward to you, but now it seems that you let me disappointed. A playful voice floated into the ears of Renji Asanjing and Byakuya Kuchiki, causing their faces to change greatly. Byakuya Kuchiki was angry and surprised, while Renji Asane was terrified. Yes, he knew it very well. Remember who the owner of this voice is. Although he had just joined the 6th Division at that time, he was just an unimportant god of death, but he had seen Lu Chengkong's performance, that terrifying man, even the captain he thought was unfathomable in front of him. Very weak. Rukia, are you alright? The person who came was Heejin. She was very heartbroken when she saw Rukia's blood-filled face. She took out a handkerchief from her arms and carefully wiped the blood on her face. Who are you? Who are you? Rukia looked at the woman in front of her who looked just like her. She didn't know why, even though she saw this person for the first time. She had a very kind feeling in her heart, as if I know her the same. I'm your elder sister, Feijun. Feijun's face turned pale, obviously remembering the scene when she abandoned Rukia at the time. Although she had nothing to do at the time, she would starve to death at any time. Rukia followed. She was not dead yet, she abandoned Rukia with the only luck. But in any case, abandonment is abandonment. This is a fact that will not change, but after all, she is a woman who is soft on the outside and tough on the inside. She knows that things always have to be faced, so in the end, Dee finally said a word of horror to Rukia. The words that surprised Asanjing Renji. Sister. Do I have an older sister? Rukia was at a loss, with a blank expression on her face. She hadn't known that she had an older sister since she was sensible, but that kind of blood-connected feeling told her that the man in front of her was called Fei Fei. The real woman didn't lie to herself. That kind of gentle and caring feeling made Rukia very comfortable, and she couldn't help but have the urge to cry out loud. You have it, but it's all because of my sister's fault. It's my fault. Feijun hugged Rukia and sobbed softly. It's been so many years. She doesn't remember how many years she hasn't cried, but today she couldn't help crying, especially when she just rushed here and saw the blood on Rukia's face. She rushed out. Why are you here? Kuchiki Byakuya is now completely mature. As a family owner, he has achieved a sense of joy and anger, and he is no longer the young and impulsive young man he used to be, especially when he became the head of the family. After Wei he took the captain's seat, he got a lot of training and improvement, both in terms of strength and scheming. Even in the Soul realm, I can go wherever I want, let alone my territory, now in this world. Lu Chengkong said amusedly, with that relaxed and comfortable look. He completely ignored the Asanjing Renji in front of him. Kuchiki Byakuya and Kuchiki Byakuya were in their eyes, but Kuchiki Byakuya and Asanjing Renji both concentrated their minds and secretly guarded themselves. Teacher. Yulong Ishiguchi and Ichigo Kurosaki, who was seriously injured and barely opened his eyes, looked at the man who suddenly appeared in front of him and couldn't help but blurt out his debut. I didn't expect you to remember me. I only appeared a few times in high school. I didn't show up after you went to high school, which really surprised me. That's right, Lu Chengkong did it in the first place. The teacher is just for Inoue Orihime, and of course, he also had a bit of teacher addiction. After getting to know Orihime, he rarely appeared. Coupled with his high-pressure methods, how could the principal dare to disobey his orders? So Lu Chengkong, after becoming a teacher, I have taken no more than 5 classes. However, because he was injured in 2 classes, he was the teacher of Kurosaki Ichigo, Chado Taihu, Long Gui, Inoue Orihime, and Shiguchi Yulong. No, this man. Maybe it was the voices of Yulong Ishiguchi and Ichigo Kurosaki who were surprised. They also woke up Rukia. Looking at Lu Chengkong, it felt a little familiar, and a picture flashed in a trance. That's right, He had seen this person's appearance from Zibo Heian when he was in the 13th Division of the Guardian, and also knew some of his past. You are so arrogant after being a traitor. Kuchiki Byakuya snorted coldly. He just couldn't stand Lu Chengkong's arrogance. At the same time, he was also very angry. He was being held down by this man all the time, and he was very unwilling. It seems that I have never admitted that I am the god of death in the Soul Society. Have you ever seen me join the 13th Division of the Guardian? Lu Chengkong's rogue but truthful words made Kuchiki Byakuya speechless. It's a fact, and he can't refute it at all. Is your purpose here to stop me from taking this criminal? Without the reason of Hajime, Kuchiki Byakuya had no interest in knowing everything about Rukia, and didn't even bother to remember his name, but called the criminal directly. 487 people are more popular than dead people. In a sense, you can also think so. If you directly say that she is the sister of one of my wife, I have no choice but to come out as my brother-in-law. Lu Chengkong said. If that's the case, then let's see the truth. After many lessons, Kuchiki Byakuya let him know that bickering with the man in front of him was a very stupid act, but he hadn't seen him for many years, and now we meet again, thinking of himself many fiasco at the hands of this man. After these years of practice, Kuchiki Byakuya, who is very confident in his own strength, wants to be ashamed, especially after he mastered Benkai's last big trick. The thought of that shame in his heart is even stronger. It was rare for Lu Chengkong to stop him from arresting the criminal this time. Dai was completely on his side, and even if he did it himself, it would not be considered a violation of the rules of the Soul Society. That's right, it's not good to bully children. Let me see how you have grown over the years. I hope it won't be like the last few times. Lu Chengkong is still such a vicious tongue. Even if his cultivation is very good now, Kuchiki Byakuya, whose face is full of joy and anger, is stimulated to flash a trace of anger on his face, but it also makes him attack faster. Restriction lifted. That's right, Kuchiki Byakuya has a certain degree of confidence in his own strength after more than 90 years, and believes that he will never lose again. But he wouldn't be so stupid and arrogant that he thought that he could only use 1/5 of his strength to defeat this man who had tried many times what it was like to fail. A seal that limits the strength of the captain and vice-captain. Boom. As soon as the limitation was resolved, Byakuya Kuchiki raised his spiritual pressure to the extreme as if in a demonstration, and swept toward Lu Chengkong like a storm. The difference between Ichigo Kurisaki's alien spiritual pressure and the spiritual pressure of Kuchiki Byakuya now was too far. Now, the air seems to have become cloudy and heavy. Rukia, who had only recovered a little bit of strength, and Ichigo Kurosaki, who was seriously injured, the injured Yuryu Ishiguchi were directly blasted out by this spiritual pressure. The more eye-catching Renji Asanjing was lifted by Byakuya Kuchiki. He hid far away from time to time, so he was not affected in any way. Rukia, isn't the teacher the one who saved Orihime in the first place? Kurosaki Ichigo was helped by Ishiguchi Yuryu, remembering what Rukia said when he was near Inoue Orihime's house, and asked him couldn't help asking. It's possible, maybe only he can have such strength. Rukia was stunned for a moment, looked at Feijun next to her, hesitated and said. Is he also a god of death? Kurosaki Ichigo, who suffered a fiasco at this moment, has understood that he has always been sitting on the sidelines. Yes, I don't really know much about him. After I became a god of death, there were only some rumors about him left in the world of dead souls. Rukia said this, her face full of admiration. Obviously in the world of god of death it is also a world that worships the strong, and it is no worse than One Piece King of Pirates. What rumors are so powerful? Do you need to show such a nympho look? Looking at Rukia's adoring appearance, Kurosaki Ichigo said very unhappily. You're a nympho. Rukia completely forgot about Kurosaki Ichigo's injury, and went straight to it, causing Kurosaki Ichigo, who was already in great pain, to scream again. But you're right, he's really powerful. Of course, I was young at the time, and all I heard were rumors. I don't know if it's true, because if it was true, it would be terrifying. Lu Chia said. Those rumors are true because one of the rumors is that I was the one who watched the fight. Asanjing Renji said that his words attracted the attention of everyone except Higen, and even Ishiguchi Yulong and Kurosaki Ichigo temporarily ignored the hostile relationship between the two sides. Sure enough, gossip really does not distinguish between men and women, borders, races, time and space. 3 people entered the school, 1 Changkong, 1 Grass Deer, and 1 Zengi, who achieved the top 3 freshmen, and completed Shikai while awakening Zanpakudo, and also defeated one of the top 3 freshmen with captain-level Reiatsu on that day. The heir of the Kuchiki clan at the time of the defeat, the current captain Kuchiki Byakuya, and of course the person in front of you who made you ignorant of how you lost the battle. Asanjing Renji said here and glanced at Liu Changkong, who released his strongest pressure, but still did not change his face and did not take Kuchiki Byakuya in his eyes. So powerful. Although he didn't quite understand the place where it was written, he still knew the general meaning. At the same time, he also figured out the name of the person who defeated him just now, but this person was actually taught to him several times. The mysterious teacher was defeated, and he only felt that his head was not enough. The really powerful ones are still to come. Later, they went to the expedition team, and Liu Changkong was forced to join the second subordinate by Captain Yamamoto, just to let him participate in the expedition. It's just that when he went to the expedition, he defeated and killed the father of Captain Deadwood, the expedition team leader of Dan, but the Soul Society did not punish him for this. His limelight at that time was already the most in the Soul Society. Strong. Of course, none of this is the most amazing. Later, there seemed to be many rumors of captains and vice-captains defecting in the Soul Society. He defeated Captain Kuchiki and Captain Kuchiki's grandfather alone, and the team of Kuchiki Yinling, and then confronted the Soul World. The strongest Grim Reaper, Captain Yamamoto, repelled Captain Yamamoto, and in the end, although there was no winner, he also retreated completely. All this has been confirmed, although I have not experienced it myself. And the only time I was in the battle was when he faced the siege of almost all the captains except Captain Yamamoto, Captain Zaragi, and Captain Uno Hanaritsu. In Shikai's case, he first defeated the 3 captains Hitsugaya, Kiraku, and Yukitaki, and then instantly defeated Tamura, Tosen, and Niyuri. The last blow, many captains were already Bankai at that time, but in the end there was only one. He failed miserably all the way, and he never took a step back from beginning to end, let alone injured, even his clothes were not dusty, and he remained the eternal Shikai from beginning to end. But it didn't affect his position in the heart of the God of Death in the Soul World at all. He was the legendary undefeated God of Death, and Liu Changkong was born specifically to create legends. Asane Renji said all the important battles she knew in one breath, leaving Rukia, who even knew some of it, stunned. Hey, it's not that exaggerated. Listening to your tone, it seems that the captain is the strongest God of Death in the Soul World, so many captains can't beat him together. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was still a little unhappy at first, refused to admit defeat. I feel that people are more popular than dead people, and it is simply incomparable to such a monster. 488, 3 days away, admiration. It's not like, but it's just like that. The strongest God of Death in the Soul World is the captain of the God of Death. Asanjing Renji also admired such a God of Death in his heart. It is terrifying to have such strength. Then this man with facial paralysis is doomed. Kurosaki Ichigo felt very uncomfortable. He didn't know whether to gloat or what, but he knew that the God of Death who had just beaten himself into a serious injury was about to be defeated. The person who defeated him was not himself, which made him feel that it was very unpleasant to have a fake hand. Although I don't want to admit it, Liu Changkong's strength has always seemed like a bottomless pit. No one has ever seen his strongest strength. With the captain alone, he will definitely lose. Asanjing Rionji said with such a certain tone for the first time. Sister, Fei. Just call me Feijun. I know that I don't deserve to be your sister in your heart, nor do you deserve to be called my sister. You will make me feel better if you call me Feijun. Feijun said indifferently. Okay, Feijun, Is he your husband? Rukia felt very uncomfortable when she heard that this man was the husband of the woman who was probably her sister in front of her. Which girl is not in love with spring, especially Lu Chengkong, who is very famous in the corpse and soul world, and belongs to the legendary dragon who sees the beginning but does not see the end, especially his identity as a civilian, as a worshipper of all civilian death gods, as civilian death gods. One Rukia is no exception. What virtue and ability I am not qualified to be her wife. If it weren't for him, I would have starved to death on the street. I am just a concubine of hers, who took the initiative to follow him. Feijun shook her head and said that she was not ashamed at all because of her status as a concubine. Instead, she felt a sense of pride and happiness, which made Rukia feel sour, just being his concubine. If you are happy, you will show such an expression. What if it is your wife? Captain Kuchiki is about to take action. Asanjing Renji interrupted Rukia, who was about to say something, and attracted everyone's attention, and found that Kuchiki Byakuya, who was more than Reiatsu, had taken action just now. Under Sake Ichigo's surprised eyes, the Zanpakuto in his hand turned into cherry blossoms. Apparently it was the second time he saw Shikai. Bachinliu, let's go and play. Although he has some dishes, it's enough to relieve my boredom. Lu Chengkong said to Bachinliu, who was wearing a princess dress and sat on his shoulders. Okay, I'll help you take care of Xiao Junjun. Bachinliu's size at this time is almost the same as the original, but there is still no change in his personality, and the only thing that changes may only be his strength. Xiao Junjun. Kurosaki Ichigo and the others couldn't notice anything at all. Kusaka Yakiryu had already appeared in front of Hajime. So soon, when did you come? It actually gives me the feeling that she has always been here. Asanjing Renji's eyes shrank, she thought in horror, and at the same time she remembered this harmless human and animal. The name of the little girl, one of the three new giants, has always been by Lu Chengkong's side, and no one has ever seen the grass deer Bachinliu she shot. Ms. Bachinliu. Feijun immediately stood up and bowed to Bachinliu. She was very polite and respectful. She obviously knew how high Bachinliu's position was in Lu Chengkong's heart. Okay, alright, don't be like this. Miss is not a miss, just call me Bachinliu. Kaolu Bachinliu looks like a little adult, although his tone is cheerful, relaxed, and casual, but there is an unquestionable sense of oppression in people. People will involuntarily follow her words when they hear it. I am so sorry, Feijun has caused you trouble. Feijun was unmoved. Obviously Bachinliu knew her character very well, so Qianchinliu didn't say anything. No trouble, no trouble. Anyway, as long as Xiaokong is happy, the ending is the same. In the end, your sister will return to the Soul Realm. Yachinliu's words made Kurosaki Ichigo's face change, even ignoring the situation. The gap between said loudly. What did you say? He's so strong, why let him? Rukia be taken away. No one can stop Xiaokong's decision, and no one can question it. Bachinliu's face remained unchanged, and he still kept a pure smile, but his body was exuding a pink spiritual pressure that was visible to the naked eye, as thick as the earth. The pressure was directly on Kurosaki Ichigo, making him completely breathless. What are you doing so nervously? For Xiaokong, the final result is the same. Anyway, Rukia will be fine. Yakiryu's Reiatsu is also fleeting, otherwise it may force Kurosaki Ichigo overwhelming the past. After all, the spiritual pressure characteristics of Bachinliu are very terrifying. Hoo-hoo, Kurosaki Ichigo gasped, although he didn't understand Yakiryu's words a little, but he really didn't want to feel the sense of being so close to death just now, and listening to this little girl seemed like Rukia. Going to the Soul Realm will not be the same in the end. Although he is still very worried, he also knows that with his current state and strength, he has no room to speak. He could only watch the battle between Kuchiki Byakuya and Lu Chengkong very unwillingly. Although he couldn't see anything clearly, he forced himself to look, hoping that he would not be as embarrassed as he is today when facing Kuchiki Byakuya in the future. Don't worry, Rukia is fine, and it's not convenient for me to say anything, but you just need to remember that you will be fine. Although Feijun knew a little about Lu Chengkong's plan, she didn't say it because Rukia was her sister. She clearly remembered her identity. She was Rukia's older sister, but she was also Lu Chengkong's concubine. But she also revealed a bit of news to make Rukia feel at ease. Scatter, Senbon Sakura. Time has developed to the original. Kuchiki Byakuya's strength can be said to be much stronger, and because of the many fiasco, his strength seems to be stronger than the original at this time, with the wind and Yang's cherry blossoms turned into a cherry blossom whirlwind, tangential to Lu Chengkong. Captain, I remember that the Bankai you used was useless to him. Do you think you are the only one who will improve over the years? At this time, he could see it a little more clearly than Kuchiki Byakuya, an insider. Although it's the same trick, it's much stronger than when it was more than 90 years ago. It's really worth seeing Shibei in 3 days. Lu Chengkong's superficial demeanor was extremely calm, but in his heart Vivi was a little surprised. Although Kuchiki Byakuya's strength is still not enough for him, his progress is indeed great. It seems that he has not been in vain these years, at least compared to his strength in the battle 90 years ago. At least twice as high. 489 Byakuya Kuchiki broke out. Aren't you going to run away? It's just right. Kuchiki Byakuya was overjoyed. Sure enough, Lu Chengkong looked down on him, so he gave him a chance to catch him off guard, but unfortunately he didn't know that it wasn't Lu Chengkong looking down on him, but rather he thinks too highly of himself, and he is not the only one who will improve. The 58th of Breaking the Path, Wen Lan. Byakuya Kuchiki immediately used a breaking path. In fact, his Senbon Sakura has another feature, that is, it is faster under the cyclone, and the attack angle is more unpredictable and weird. And the power has also increased. Virtual Flash. Lu Chengkong stretched out a finger, completely ignoring the cherry blossom whirlwind swept towards him. Intending to try the virtual trick, he immediately used a virtual flash, and a bright silver ball of light instantly condensed and formed. It also burst out a ray-like bright silver flash at the moment of forming. Boom! The destructive power contained in the bright silver phantom flashes that only Lu Chengkong can use, concentrated by the ultra-high-density spiritual pressure, completely pierced the cherry blossom whirlwind in front of him, and hit Kuchiki Byakuya unabated. What is that? Ghost. Rukia's eyes widened. After all, he had never fought Daxu before, so he didn't know much about it. That's because only Daxu can use Void Flash. How is it possible that a death god can actually use Void Flash, and it's still such a high-density spiritual pressure? Can he survive being hit by a death god? Sanjing Renji's face was terribly ugly. In any case, Kuchiki Byakuya is also his captain. If Kuchiki Byakuya is killed, his fate will not be much better. After all, no matter how stupid he is, he knows that he and Lu Chengkong should be hostile at present. Isn't the next one after Kazuya? Although he admired Lu Chengkong, he didn't worship him to the point of being killed by him. It's no wonder that he was in a good mood. Shu, isn't he the god of death? Rukia said in surprise. She also learned this knowledge in the textbook, but she has never fought against Shu, so she didn't see it with her own eyes. Now I listened to a Sanjing Renji say, so the corners were immediately understood. I didn't expect to come here and plan to save Kurosaki Ichigo at any time, but I actually saw such an amazing scene. This is obviously not the ghost of death, nor is it using the power of Bengyu. It's really strange, I can't feel it at all. There are several different strands of violence in him, instead there is only one, but this one is all-encompassing, as if it represents the void, death, human beings, and even everything. Urahara Kazuki, who was hiding on the side, stared at the phantom flashes of strange colors released by Lu Chengkong. Of course, the more important thing was the change in Lu Chengkong. Is this really breaking the limit of the god of death? All the creatures of the god of death and the god of death are integrated into one, and can use all the abilities of god and god of death, without the slightest conflict. Violence is basically the same source. There is no sun in the world, they are two distinct forces as they blur. Urahara Kazuki is not puppet. Urahara Kazuki guessed the whole thing not long after seeing this situation for the first time. it's worth coming this time, just to discover this matter is worthwhile. Okay. Bounding the way. 81. Broken Kong. Kuchiki Byakuya reluctantly used Broken Kong just before the virtual flash was about to hit him. Although his Broken Kong could only resist for a while, he also gave it to him. It's time. The 88th of Breaking the Way. Flying Dragon strikes Thief Open Air Thunder Cannon. Byakuya Kuchiki raised his right hand and snorted. A straight-line light beam of thunder and lightning met the virtual flash in front of him as the sky shattered, two high-density beams. The energy composed of Reiatsu explodes directly at the moment of collision. A number 80 tie will come to weaken the power of the Phantom Flash, and then a 88th break will reluctantly offset the weakened Phantom Flash. It's so powerful. Rukia's eyes, she said tongue-tied. Such a high-level ghost without singing is simply out of reach for her now. This is the power of emptiness. Have you become emptiness? Impossible. I can't feel the slightest aura of emptiness in him, but I can't feel the breath of death. Strange. His violence gave me an all-encompassing feeling, as if he was illusory. He was the god of death. What happened to his body? Forget it. In short, he became stronger. Damn, I still underestimate him. Kuchiki Byakuya was startled at first, and then he roared unwillingly in his heart, and a false flash made himself so embarrassed, making Kuchiki Byakuya's murderous intent and jealousy towards Lu Chengkong that had been suppressed for a long time climbed again. Hey, when you are in a daze, you will die if you are in a daze, the 992nd ban of the road. The huge cloth suddenly appeared from the vicinity of Kuchiki Byakuya, directly wrapping Kuchiki Byakuya's body. Stand up. You can't dodge now, Shu Flash. Lu Chengkong smiled, showing his shiny teeth, but the cold light in his eyes made people stand upright. The bright silver Shu Flash carried a hint of coldness. The powerful aura that destroyed everything shot directly on Kuchiki Byakuya's body, and it exploded with a bang. Bankai Senbon Sakura Kujiyoshi. Thousands of blades rise from the ground behind the mold, and then each blade smashes and produces countless cherry blossom blades. It is impossible to know the number of these blades, and the cherry blossoms are attacking an enemy. And go. The enemy can't sing the ghost way, and can't avoid it, just like the eyes entering the spring breeze. Everything is just standing all the time, returning to the dust, all-round attack composed of hundreds of millions of blades without dead ends, relying only on cumbersome stunts. It will never be possible to win Senbon Sakura. Such a comment flashed through Lu Chengkong's heart. In the past, Kuchiki Byakuya's Bankai was not so spectacular, nor so powerful, nor deserved such a comment, but now it is worthy of its name. Turn it into dust. Kuchiki Byakuya's voice was as cold as ice, and the murderous aura contained in it could scare people to death. It's much stronger than it was 90 years ago, but can such an attack really work? Asane Renji was surprised by Kuchiki Byakuya Bankai's strength, but he was thinking that such an attack would deal with ordinary death or even Captain Death is hard to resist, but is it useful to deal with this or that person? All-round attack without dead ends. Rukia exclaimed, so many cherry blossom blades look really beautiful, but even Rukia can detect the hidden murderous intent. Isn't he bound to lose? Kurosaki Ichigo said in surprise. Seeing such an attack with his current strength, he couldn't help but feel a sense of irresistibility in his heart. He just stood there and died. Idea. It's no wonder that he would say such words. After all, he is still very weak now, with too little knowledge, and he does not have the kind of determination that he had when he entered the Soul realm in the original book. 490 Final Scene. White Emperor Sword. Idiot, it is said that it is a dead-end attack, can't sing ghosts, and can't avoid it. It's just an objective evaluation. For Xiaokong, if Xiaokong thinks he can use powerful ghosts that don't sing to deal with him. Such an attack, it looks gorgeous, powerful and unbreakable, but in fact it is full of weaknesses. Just find a point at will, and it will be done with a single point. Quote. Yakiryu's indifferent voice made Kurosaki Ichigo and the others sweat profusely, and black lines covered their entire foreheads. Only monsters like you can say such words, but Yakiryu's words are indeed correct. To break such an attack is the most useful way to break the face. But at least you have to have enough strength to break the face, otherwise, if you don't have enough strength, you will die. The 6116 Stand Light Prison of the Tao. Kuchiki Byakuya has a very deep memory of Liu Chengkong's elusive Shunpo, although his Senbon Sakura Kujyoshi's speed is already very fast at this time, far from more than 90 years. He can compare before, but he is completely mature, but he will not let go of any details that can kill the enemy. I said, if I want to dodge, how can you stop me with the speed of these cherry blossoms, is it useful? I didn't plan to dodge it. It's superfluous to use the 6-stick light prison, your Senbon Sakura is good, it's more durable, allowing me to test my abilities with confidence. Quote. Liu Chengkong's body Vivi shuddered, and the aura of frost was vented out. The 6-stick light prison inserted in his waist immediately turned into frost and instantly turned into dust, but he didn't move, he really stood there, quietly, looking at Senbon Sakura wave after wave like a tsunami in front of him. Die, Senbon Sakura Kujyoshi. Although he was a little speechless, it would be better since he didn't dodge. All the hundreds of millions of blades condensed into a ball, and he instantly engulfed Liu Chengkong and attacked from all directions. GG. A very harsh sound as if rubbing steel with a sharp metal kept coming out of the cherry blossom sphere, which made Byakuya Kuchiki's expression get what he wanted from the beginning, and it became so gloomy that water was about to pour out. Ha! Just when Rukia and the others wondered what was going on inside, there was a majestic burst of shouting from the cherry blossom sphere, and circles of invisible fluctuations penetrated from the cherry blossom sphere, and the cherry sphere immediately shattered. It cracked open, revealing Liu Chengkong's body. However, what surprised the people present was that Liu Chengkong was unscathed, and he was attacked by such a high frequency of cherry blossom blades without any incident, especially Kuchiki Byakuya. As a Senbon Sakura user, he knew very well that Liu Chengkong was in it, but everything did not use. Zanpakudo's abilities, Onigiri, Shunpo, etc., have never been used, and he just stood there quietly and let his Senbon Sakura attack. This kind of contempt for him made him very angry, but more decadence, others stand in place and let him fight, and he can't hurt others. What is more helpless and depressing than Kuchiki Byakuya? It's really cool, it's even more refreshing than the top masseuses. I don't think you'll starve to death even if your Deadwood family falls. At least your Senbon Sakura has the ability to massage without dead ends in addition to dead end attacks. Not bad, not bad. Liu Chengkong found that he liked more and more people in the world of Reaper who were very cool and pretended to make him unhappy, and Kuchiki Byakuya was of course among them. What kind of ability do you have? Kuchiki Byakuya felt that it was a bit embarrassing to ask, but he had to ask. He believed that Liu Chengkong's pride would definitely tell himself that as long as he knew what kind of ability it was, he would be able to find it. The way to crack it, after all, he has not been in vain all these years. Although the Kuchiki family has lost the most precious things, he still read all the secret abilities and stunts collected in the Kuchiki family. Even if he can't learn all of them, he can find a way to crack them when he encounters such a strange trick. Hey, nobility is nobility, how can we experience the sorrow of us civilians of death? You can see at a glance that the greenhouse flowers have never been on the battlefield. Even the hardness of the virtual surface is very high, which is equivalent to the steel skin of armor. Liu Chengkong looked at Kuchiki Byakuya with contempt. Steel, stop lying, you are a god of death at all. Where is there a false steel, you? Kuchiki Byakuya couldn't say it anymore, and he was not very confident in what he said, because Lulu just now Chengkong has already used Phantom Flash twice, and the power is terrifying. Even Bastard's Great Phantom cannot have such a terrifying Phantom Flash. This is just an ordinary Phantom Flash, so what about the more advanced ones? And looking at the man in front of him, it is obvious that he has a stronger strength. But what about yourself? Already Bankai. Although there are still two most powerful moves that he has yet to use, and he is very confident in one of his unique moves, but seeing Liu Chengkong's performance, recalling his many battles with the man in front of him, it seems that he has always been suppressing himself. It can even be said that he has to play the drama by himself. It was like this before, and it is like this now. He couldn't help but let his unwilling heart appear a little decadent and convinced. Yes, the difference is not too big, he can catch up, he is better than himself, but not too good. Byakuya himself thinks. Then he may be jealous or unwilling, but if the gap between the two is too big, either it is worship, admiration, awe, or fear, worry. You can't think that way. Grandpa said that I was the strongest patriarch of the Kuchiki family. I absolutely can't be afraid of him. After I have a demon, I don't even have the courage to face him, even if it's death, I can't be afraid. Kuchiki Byakuya's face sank, and his resolute color flashed past. The spiritual pressure that erupted from his body was stronger than before, as if he had achieved some kind of breakthrough at a critical moment. The inner demon formed by the accumulation of many fiasco in his heart was actually broken by him at this moment. Have you made a breakthrough? It was a bit too much to call you a fool before. After all, you are a member of the genius class, but do you think this can change anything? Lu Chengkong was a little surprised, and he also changed his opinion of Kuchiki Byakuya. At least he didn't underestimate him. After all, he knew how much perseverance it would take to see through his own demons and even break them. It doesn't matter, I, Kuchiki Byakuya, can be defeated or die in battle, but I absolutely cannot retreat. Take my strongest move, the ultimate White Emperor sword. Kuchiki Byakuya's tone was very calm, as if he had seen through the red dust, but the momentum on his body told everyone present that he planned to use his strongest blow, a blow that would determine success or failure. With the momentum and determination after this breakthrough, Kuchiki Byakuya can be said to have reached the peak at this moment. 491 to kill or not to kill. This is my strongest sword. He infuses me with everything, strength, fighting spirit, determination, and the hatred between me and you. Let this sword end it all. That's right, Kuchiki Byakuya has obviously changed a lot after the breakthrough. He obviously doesn't want to be entangled with everything in the past, so he wants to solve all the past grievances at one time through this battle. Then beheading Lu Chengkong, all the hatred of course disappeared. If he loses in the battle, it also means his defeat. After his eyes are closed, he doesn't know anything, and what kind of hatred can he have? Unwilling, at this moment Kuchiki Byakuya has given up his life and death, and there is only one thought, then is war. Now you have the qualifications to let me face it. Lu Chengkong put away his joking expression and looked at Kuchiki Byakuya in front of him. That's right, Kuchiki Byakuya at this time is the god of death that made him look directly in the face. He used to be not at all. Kuchiki Byakuya did not speak, but stood quietly in place, the reiatsu in his body, the power poured into the sword without reservation, the scattered blades gathered around the body, forming a pair of white bird wings, shining. It makes Byakuya Kuchiki look super gorgeous and handsome, like a firefly in the darkness, illuminating the darkness. Wang Shu's flash. Lu Chengkong stretched out one hand, his 5 fingers spread out like claws, and a black-red sphere with jagged light was now in the center of his palm, exuding bursts of destruction and an amazing aura of destruction. With such a high density of spiritual pressure, the space near the black-red sphere is slightly distorted by the naked eye. This is just the flash of Wang Shu used in the normal state. What if it is used in the Bankai state? Oh my god, is this still a flash? It's terrible, time and space are slightly distorted. As Sanjing Renji looked at the flash of Wang Shu in Lu Chengkong's hands, his eyelids jumped, he was breathing coldly, and his body was covered in hair. He stood up, his pupils were the largest, and he thought in horror. Wow, even Wang Shu's flash can be used. It's really scary. Urahara Kazuki also put away his giggling smile, and secretly arranged an invisible barrier around him. You must know that the conversion in the original book is not used here. The ghost road of the position. Fortunately, the location here is relatively remote, and there are fewer people. Otherwise, I don't know how many people died in the battle just now. This time, Wang Shu's flash and Kuchiki Byakuya's White Emperor sword are obviously more terrifying. If you hit Kusako directly, it would be basically over, so he quietly arranged an isolation barrier to be safer. Ah! Kuchiki Byakuya roared, the white bird wings on his body swayed, and his figure broke through the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye, and stabbing towards Lu Chengkong. The same is true for Lu Chengkong on the other side. At the same time Kuchiki Byakuya moved, Lu Chengkong's Wang Shu's flash also burst out, with a breath of annihilation, and Kuchiki Byakuya's White Emperor sword in midair collided violently. The extreme spiritual pressure collision caused layers of distortion in the center of the two. The surging spiritual power fluctuations rippled out in all directions like water ripples, and huge thick and long cracks appeared directly on the ground. "It's over," Lu Chengkong said softly. The flash of Wang Shu's light in his hands suddenly flashed and became thicker. The flash of Wang Shu, who originally stuck with the White Emperor sword to form a huge semicircular ball of light, instant hit. The White Emperor sword was expensive, and it devoured Kuchiki Byakuya's entire body. Boom! With the sound of the explosion, the billowing smoke and dust gradually faded away, and a deep pit with a radius of about 500 meters was reflected in everyone's sight. In the center of the deep pit lay a man covered in blood, dressed in a beggar's outfit, and there was no piece of his body. "Good meat, Kuchiki Byakuya, who seems to die at any time. Captain is a lot stronger than 90 years ago, but this man is more powerful than that time. Even Shikai can kill the captain without use." Asanjing Renji's eyes widened and he thought in despair. He knew that as the vice-captain of Kuchiki Byakuya, he would come to him after Kuchiki Byakuya's defeat. It wasn't that he didn't want to resist, but the gap between the two sides was too big. Is it better to kill or not? Lu Chengkong stagnates in the upper half of the deep pit, looking down at Kuchiki Byakuya, whose aura is suspended at this time, and thinks to himself, just when Lu Chengkong decides to kill Kuchiki Byakuya, Kuchiki Shanghai, the body and mind, suddenly appeared beside Lu Chengkong. "Don't kill him yet. If he dies, the soul world will be shaken again." Although Aizen controls everything, Kuchiki Byakuya is the only heir of the Kuchiki family, and he has no descendants. Once he is killed, it is likely to cause a crazy counterattack of the Deadwood family, and since they can know the existence of disintegration, even if no one in their family can practice it, I think there must be something behind the Deadwood family, otherwise it is impossible to be the head of the four nobles by now. Think about it, with the strength of the Sifeng family and Yi can completely replace the Deadwood family, but there must be some reason for them not to do so. Kuchiki Shanghai looked at Kuchiki Byakuya below with murderous intent flashing across his eyes. He also wanted to kill people related to the Kuchiki family. Whenever he thought about Yi Ling, his murderous intent skyrocketed. Then you have to kill him even more. Killing one will weaken the strength of the Kuchiki family by 1 point. Even if they have any other backers, it will have no effect on us. Even though he said that, Lu Chengkong also put away his right hand, and the bright silver glitter ball disappeared. "I want to kill him more than you, but this joint eye has to deal with Aizen's affairs, and can't let redundant variables appear. He can kill him, but not now, but after he went to the soul world and rescued Mei Yan. When killing him, he couldn't just kill him alone. Either don't make a move, and the Deadwood family will be uprooted as soon as they make a move, leaving no trace of trouble. Although I don't know what the Deadwood family has that makes them so arrogant, but they can be so arrogant. Therefore, they must not be allowed to turn around and cause us trouble." Kuchiki Shanghai is right to say so. After all, he has been in the Kuchiki family for so long, and he definitely knows some things that others don't know. In addition, with the current strength of the Kuchiki family, it is indeed a bit strange that he can still be the head of the four major families. Others don't know how strong Yi is, but Lu Chengkong has often learned from Yi for more than 60 years, but he knows Yi's terrifying. Without using the Zanpakudo, Shunpo and Shiba alone can completely suppress him. Even killing Kuchiki Byakuya, let alone using the Zanpakudo. 492 Feijun guarantee. You must know that even the original Yiki is already very powerful and terrifying. When facing Aizen, he did not use the Zanpakudo, not to mention that he is very diligent in his cultivation now, and he has never been lazy. There are so many competitors, especially those who do not. Being overtaken by Luanju, and with the imaginary enemy of Bachinliu, Yi Yi's white fight and Shunbu far surpassed the original by a lot. Forget it, let him live a few more months. Lu Chengkong pondered for a moment, and knew that what Kui Mu Xianghe said was right. If anyone in this world hated the Kuchiki family the most, it would be Kui Mu Xianghe. Since even Xianghe can endure his own murderous intentions for the overall situation, there is no need for him to destroy it. What's more, he felt that maybe it would be better for Xianghe to kill Kuchiki's family in the end. After all, even if Yaiki and Kuchiki Byakuya were strangers, they were friends since childhood. If he killed him, Yaiki wouldn't blame him. He would be unhappy even though he would be unhappy. On the contrary, due to the grievances of Kuchiki Xianghe and the Kuchiki family, if he took action, Yi Yi would only be sad for a few days at most. After all, Yi Yi had anticipated that something would definitely happen to the Kuchiki family when she cut off everything with the nobles more than 200 years ago. In addition, she knew very well the grievances of the Kuchiki Xianghe and the Kuchiki family, and the Kuchiki family had done so many evils. It is true that only one side can survive, then the outcome is already doomed, and she has been prepared in her heart early in the morning. Yi Yi knew very well that if it wasn't for Lu Chengkong's strength, he and the Deadwood Xianghe would have been killed by the Deadwood family, so in the end, even if Lu Chengkong killed the Deadwood family, Yi Yi would be unhappy for a while, and soon recovered. Coming. Kuchiki Xianghe was relieved when he saw that Lu Chengkong had stopped. He really wanted to kill Kuchiki Byakuya and the Kuchiki clan. But his reason told him to wait a little longer, as long as he went to the Soul World, and after all the time of Mei Yan was dealt with, when Aizen showed his true colors, it was the time to eradicate the Rottenwood family, and he still had to uproot and cut grass and roots. Kind. Xianghe, how many of you will go? Lu Chengkong stopped caring about Kuchiki Byakuya, and walked towards Feijun and the others while talking to Kuchiki Xianghe. If too many people go, it will become a burden. That guy Aizen should have reached the peak before the god of death broke the limit. In addition to the unfathomable accumulation of spiritual pressure after living for thousands of years, the development of Zanpakuto has reached its peak. Except that old man Yamamoto can defeat him, he should have no scruples. After getting Bangyu, he doesn't need to stay in the Soul Realm anymore. He should show his true colors. In the masked army, only me and Mako's strength can match him, so we will go to 2 here. And you, Mei Yan is Konghee's brother, so she must be clamoring to go. I have to say that the hiding of Ujawali is really perfect. Even the Deadwood Xianghe didn't notice the unusualness of Ujawali, and Aizen may be almost the same, and even the one invited by Ujawali was Aizen. The Jinghua Shuiyu hypnotized was nothing but a fake chin. With Lu Chengkong's understanding of Maojawali, it is very likely that this is the case, especially with the passing of the past 60 years. Lu Chengkong's strength has grown by leaps and bounds after breaking the limit, recalling the feeling of Maojawali at the beginning. Has lost that elusive, unfathomable feeling. Instead, there is a strong sense of crisis and oppression. Obviously, Lu Chengkong at this time has been able to roughly detect the strength of Maojawali. Jihuali's strength will be frightening. You're right, I think she'll be really mad if you don't give her a satisfactory answer in a few days, and now she's with her every night, otherwise she'd be looking for someone all over the world to be a punching bag. Quote. Lu Chengkong gave a wry smile. Konghee's character is really more frank and direct than Yi Yi's, at least after Yi Yi became his wife. In addition to being bold and straightforward, hating evil, daring to love and hating, he has not changed. Has the demeanor of a good wife and mother. Only Zibo Kong is still the same as before, with a unique personality, bold and uninhibited, the same hot, violent and impulsive, but this is also her charm. After all, the title of Sister Ba is not for nothing. Only you can cure her. Kuchiki Xianghe said with a smile, looking helpless. Ba Chenliu will definitely follow, Konghe needless to say, but fortunately, Luanju is getting more and more knowledgeable, and volunteered to stay to guard the base camp, so Yi Yi also followed without any scruples, and that's all for now. 1. As Lu Chengkong spoke, he didn't pay attention to the increasingly speechless expression of Xianghe of Deadwood. Thinking about it, it was also true that Big Brother went to Soul World this time for fun. How can you say that you and the others are also traitors of Soul World? Bringing the family and the mouth is like traveling, how can you not let the dead wood ring the river speechless? Don't be so nervous, I remember your name is Renji Asanjing, the vice captain of Byakuya Kuchiki. I advise you to leave the 6th division. It is better to go to the 11th division, that is the most suitable place for you, it is also the place where your strength improves the fastest. Quote. Lu Chengkong was amused as he looked at Renji Asanjing, who was looking at him nervously. It seemed that if he wanted to kill you, it would be useless for you to be nervous and vigilant. Rukia, right, I didn't know how to talk to you for a while, but I promised your sister to keep you safe, so you don't have to worry, but now I need you to cooperate with me. You don't have to do anything, just follow Asanjing. Renji can go back to the Soul Realm, and everything will be over soon. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he ignored the surprised and angry eyes of Ichigo Kurosaki, and the puzzled eyes of Renji Asanjing and Rukia, and left with Kuchiki Kyukawa slowly. I believe Master Chengkong, you will be fine, it won't be more than 2 months at most, you will be fine, my sister can guarantee you with her own life. For a moment, the air that she should have as an older sister was fully displayed, and Rukia nodded involuntarily. That's good, don't worry, Lord Chengkong over the Soul World has already made arrangements, you should just go back and report to you. You will not be punished by any punishment, and you will not suffer any grievances, we will see you soon. Yes, when the time comes, my sister will do everything possible to make up for it, and of course I will tell you everything about you and me. Fei Zhen hesitated for a moment, tried her best to explain a few things without revealing Lu Chengkong's affairs, then gave Rukia a very reluctant look, then turned around and quickly chased after Lu Chengkong. She knew it was only a brief separation that would soon lead to a permanent reunion. 493 Kazuki Urahara's flickering dafa. Damn, why let Rukia be taken away even though he has such strength? Because Rukia performed a ghost trick on him just now, at least it stabilized his injury, so Kurosaki Ichigo didn't faint. However, he also lost the death power that Rukia gave him. Don't you know yet? They clearly have their own plans and arrangements, how could they destroy their own arrangements because of this? Ishida Yulong said calmly, looking at Lu Chengkong and his group who had disappeared with complicated eyes. He was calmer than Ichigo Kurosaki, and he also knew more about Lu Chengkong's terribleness. In the state of the teacher, only the miserable under the sore face is good at his words. Blow, one household, why are you so embarrassed? A funny voice full of jokes sounded from the bushes, and Urahara Kazuki, who was stepping on the wooden exhibition, also appeared. Kojin Rain Hat. Kurosaki Ichigo threw out his own name for him after seeing the person clearly. My name is Kazuki Urahara, then don't use Mujin or something, I'll be embarrassed. Although he said so, he didn't look a little embarrassed at all. I'm not in the mood to tell you this right now, I'm going to save Rukia. Ichigo Kurosaki struggled for a while, and suddenly burst the wound on his chest, causing him to grin for a while. It seems that you still don't understand. It seems that my previous decision was right. I didn't waste my saliva. I told you that there are at least 13 captains of the same level as Kuchiki Byakuya in the Soul Society. Among these 13 captains there are many people who are stronger than him, let alone what you look like now. Even if you are not injured at all, you may be 88 without seeing Miss Rukia based on your strength. Quote. Urahara Kazuki has to say that he really has the ability to be a negotiator, but his eloquence is very good. Bastard, why did he do this? Kurosaki Ichigo clenched his fists unwillingly and said inexplicably. The strong don't need to explain so much to the weak, and it is necessary for Lu Chengkong to tell you what to do. It doesn't seem to have much to do with you. With his strength, he won't even be able to break into the Soul Realm. People can stop him and save Rukia without much effort, but that's him, not you, he can do whatever he likes. Urahara Kazuki said. Yes, this is him. Why should I care about him so much? Since he won't save me, I can go by myself. Looks like you already understand, shouting here and asking why others let Rukia be taken away when the weak act. Since you don't want him to be taken away so much, and don't want him to have anything to do, then you have to become stronger, then take the Zanpakuto in your hand and do what you want. Urahara Kazuki's eyes flashed, and he laughed secretly in his heart, fooling a little devil like you is not at hand. There are at least 7 days before you can open the gate to the Soul Realm, so you still have 7 days, plus more than a month before you go to Soul Realm before you execute the execution. Of course, this is the case without early execution. Next, are you interested in playing with me with your life during these 7 days? Urahara Kazuki said that the clothes on his body are automatic without wind, and he was like an ordinary person, and a reiki that was stronger than Kuchiki Byakuya erupted. So strong, stronger than the man with facial paralysis. Kurosaki Ichigo snorted, but he was very happy. With such a person to teach him, he believed that he could definitely improve his strength. Does that even need to be said? Very good. Urahara Kazuki nodded with satisfaction, dissipated his own spiritual pressure, and directly carried Kurosaki Ichigo up, completely ignoring Kurosaki Ichigo's screams of pain, and walked away quickly. There are people like this who teach you, plus your potential and the spiritual pressure on you is constantly integrating with you. You will definitely become stronger by then. No, I will never be affected by you. Throw away. Ishida Yulong picked up his bag, a look of determination flashed in his eyes, and he soon left this messy place. After returning to his store, Ichigo Kurosaki found that there was a burly man who didn't look like a high school student was waiting for him with a worried look. Chadu, why are you here? Kurosaki Ichigo said in surprise. Apparently he didn't realize that the people around him were extraordinary. Help you, Chadu Taihu said sympathetically. Although it was a very short word, it warmed Kurosaki Ichigo's heart. At least he had someone like him to accompany him. Well, starting tomorrow, the two of you will be ready to die for special training. Let's treat your injuries first. Urahara Kazuki signaled that Grip Tetsusai was ready to take action, while he was observing the changes of Kurosaki Ichigo, and said to himself. It's good to have a good birth. Not only is he born with extraordinary potential, but he also has a spiritual pressure that is the worst of the peak of the death god sealed on his body. Every time he is injured, every time his potential explodes, a part of this Reiatsu will merge with his Reiatsu. Coupled with my teaching, compared to when we were at the True Spiritual Art Institute, apart from the old man Yamamoto gave us a lesson, we all learned by ourselves from the textbooks and explored by ourselves, without wasting a lot of time, which is really happy. Too much, you don't need to pay too much at all, you can get the strength that countless death gods can't get. I'm a little jealous of you, Ichigo Kurosaki. I think if any of our genius class is born with a seal like you, a spiritual pressure will continue to be absorbed by itself. I don't think it will take us a few months it can reach the level that surpasses the general captain level death god. In fact, how did Urahara Kazuki know that this spiritual pressure was just passed on by Kurosaki Masaki in order to become a real human being without a trace of waste? At least this spiritual pressure was only owned by the Shinigami who reached the peak before breaking the limit. With a huge Reiatsu, it is no wonder that the original work of Kurosaki Ichigo can progress rapidly. Every time he is injured, every danger will skyrocket. Are you going to Soul Realm in 7 days? Haha, that's great, I've been waiting impatiently for a long time. After returning home, Liu Chenggong said that he would go to Soul Realm in 7 days, and Zibo Konghei's spirit was lifted. Laughed excitedly, and the sadness between his eyebrows disappeared a lot. You should thank Yi Yi, she is by your side every day. Liu Chenggong thought Isho, Konghei is the cutest looking like this. Chi, do you still need to say it? She is my good sister. What? Are you jealous that I stole your Night One? Why don't I accompany you tonight with Night One, and play what you said about double flying? Zibo Kong stretched out his pink tongue and licked the corner of his mouth, saying seductively. 494 double flight becomes triple flight. It's true. Liu Chenggong heard the words and looked at Zibo Kong with gleaming eyes. Even though Zibo Kong was bold, he couldn't help but feel a little timid when facing Liu Chenggong's aggressive gaze. But this time it is not that she will retreat when she says she will retreat. Because Lu Chengkong already has a big hand, he wrapped Sifeng Yuan Yike and Zibo Kong around his waist one by one with his left and right hands. He stepped on Shunbu, piercing the air barrier like a teleportation, and he came to the room not long after that. Inside, without a word, Lu Chengkong directly transformed into a satyr. With a wave of his right hand, the blue light flashed, and the shynesses on Yi Yi and Kong He had all disappeared. "Ah, satyr, what are you doing in such a hurry? The old lady won't leave." Zibo Kong only felt a chill on his body, and firstly screamed, but soon returned to the true character of Sister Ba. She lost it, not to be outdone, and gave Lu Chengkong a look back. "Kong, your figure is getting more and more plump. I can't help but want to take a bite." Sifeng Yuan Yi, who had not spoken for a while, suddenly smiled, reaching out and pinching Zibo Konghe's plump body. Zibo Kong suddenly remembered that his own peculiarity is that he can't take care of himself at all. It's just that she has been in a bad mood recently, so she has always been very gentle and virtuous. Now that she has recovered, she has of course recovered her arrogance when facing herself, and likes to tease people, especially in bed, at night. One is that Lu Chengkong likes to tease people the most in bed among so many wives. Hiss. Seeing that Yi Yi actually played the lily war one step ahead of him, Lu Chengkong certainly didn't want to be behind his wife. He took off his clothes and immediately joined the battle group. First, he whipped fiercely. Take a look at Zibo Kong and see if this tyrant sister dares to fight with herself. As the three of them rolled on the snow-white sheets and were swept up by the waves, a series of tactful moans quickly played in the quiet room like beautiful music. 4 hours later, Lu Chengkong, who had already fed the two girls and slept with his fullness, had fulfilled Shuangfei's wish, and had planned to sleep with his clothes on, but it seemed that he was lucky today, because just as he was about to hug him. As the two girls lay down, the door quietly opened. A tall figure, long brown, with a melon-seeded face, fair skin, wearing a delicate little leather jacket and tight leather pants, which completely outlines her figure that is bulging forward and backward, wearing a red tie, which is straight up below. So stunning that people can't help but sigh at first glance. It's a life worth living to be such a beauty overnight. And this beauty is the only mother in Barford, and her personality is very extreme, because her personality in Hirazaki is very unique and independent, and it can even be said to be as wild as Yike, but also full of temptation. But once she is in the arms of the man she loves, or when she gets along with the man she loves, she will show the gentleness and virtuousness of Zhongnan beauties, but at this time Shangma Fangye is full of wild and beautiful face, it's full of wood happy. You bastard. After Soma Yoshino came in, he saw Lu Chengkong's entire body, and the one on the left and right beside him with a satisfied look, and the whole body exuded a pink sheen, Sora Crane and Yike. The grievance in his heart couldn't help bursting out any longer, and he threw himself directly into Lu Chengkong's arms. A pair of pink fists kept beating on Lu Chengkong's chest, and at the same time he muttered the words, "Bad guy, big bad guy. What's wrong? Who made my Fangyi angry again? I'll help you kill him." Lu Chengkong was a little confused now, although Soma Fangyi's strength was almost the weakest among the girls, but Luanju was at a loss. They take good care of Soma Yoshino, who has a unique personality, wildness and gentleness. Why does it seem like he has been greatly wrong today? You also said that the one who made me angry is you. Soma Fangye glared at Lu Chengkong with eyes filled with tears, and shouted coquettishly. Me, how did I offend you? Lu Chengkong looked at Soma Yoshino in confusion, thinking about what he did in this matter, as if he really didn't do anything to make Soma Yoshino unhappy, but soon Lu Chengkong didn't even ask clearly. Soma Fangye said it all with a crackle like pouring water himself. Do you really like me? You don't have pity on me, do you? I don't need your pity. Soma Yoshino was like an angry female leopard who would bite at anyone. Why don't I like you? If I didn't like you, I wouldn't put so much effort into looking for you. Lu Chengkong was sluggish for a while, and found that Soma Yoshino's eyes were constantly aimed at Yike. He Kong, a trace of desire and envy flashed in his eyes, and he suddenly understood. Yes, I have brought Kong Shang Ma Fangye for many years, but I have never touched her, and her background and experience made her very sensitive to feelings, thinking that Lu Chengkong was just pity for himself, or of temporary interest. Since you like me, why don't you touch me? Feijun came later than me, you are with him. Ah, Soma Fangye wanted to say something, but Lu Chengkong, who had already figured out the cause and effect, where would I give her another chance to speak? Soma Yoshino, who was so stubborn and sensitive about feelings, but very eager, only felt pity in his heart, and he immediately kissed her sexy red lips. Soma Fangye stayed for a while, struggled a little, and then responded to Lu Chengkong excitedly. She told Lu Chengkong with her own actions that she had been waiting for a long time. As Lu Chengkong kept climbing on her body, he brought a strange sense of pleasure, which she had never experienced before, and the pleasure was getting stronger and stronger, making her feel as if she was taking drugs, and the more she fell into it. Deeper and deeper, but she has no turning back. Fool, how could I not like you? You know how I have lived for more than 60 years. I didn't try to become stronger because I wanted you to live a good life. As for Feijun's time, I didn't expect it. She is active. Needless to say, I don't want to know, as long as you love me, possess me, and never leave me. Soma Fangye said with a blushing face. His jade hand covered Lu Chengkong's mouth, and his charming eyes kept bursting releaser high-voltage current. After hearing the beauty's permission, Lu Chengkong stopped talking nonsense. For a woman like Soma Fangye, any sweet words are unnecessary. She is not an ordinary human woman. Her experience, the character of the monument, and her identity are doomed to her. Focus more on practical actions. A full satisfaction, as if a long-term wish was fulfilled, a scream of pain filled with extreme joy and excitement quickly sounded, and the seductive and wonderful music that had just gone silent resounded in the room again. 495 Kurosaki Masaki's Secret. Lord Chengkong, what's the matter with the slave family? No matter how dissatisfied, angry, or unwilling Kurosaki Masaki was, at least after a period of time, Lu Chengkong spent a lot of time on her. At least on the surface, Kurosaki Masaki has gradually integrated into her new identity, and the awkward and embarrassing title at first is now very natural to say. I want to know everything about you, including Isshin Kurosaki, and of course, what's the matter with your son, Ichigo Kurosaki, that Reiatsu that is close to the peak of the captain. Although Lu Chengkong had guessed a little bit, it was always good to be able to ask clearly, and he had a hunch that the Kurosaki family would become enemies with him in the near future, and Lu Chengkong, the enemy hidden behind the scenes, was the least favorite. The most dreaded thing is, of course, to understand the opportunities around me clearly. Kurosaki Masaki hesitated, but looked at. When Lu Chengkong's dignified and aggressive eyes swept across her body, it reminded her of her condition, and Lu Chengkong has been working hard on her almost every day and night since this period of time, making her pose in all kinds of difficult situations. The action of opening her mouth also made her shout out all kinds of shameful and lewd words. Although the body is very refreshing, but the heart is very painful. Under the stimulation of two extreme feelings, Kurosaki Masaki feels that she is going crazy. At the same time, she also finds that the human body has fallen to Lu Chengkong. She doesn't want to. After being trained by Lu Chengkong again, she hesitated for a moment, and then slowly said. Lord Chengkong, have you heard of Team Zero? Team Zero. You mean the legendary special agent of the royal family who guards the space outside the Soul Realm, is responsible for defending the palace where the Spirit King lives, defending against the Great Void, etc. Lu Chengkong said with a little surprise, but in his heart of course Isho, sure enough. Yes, but Team Zero is not as simple as it seems. In short, things are very complicated, and I don't know how to say it. Kurosaki Masaki's delicate and pretty face revealed a hint of pain and memory. Tell out all the important things you know. Let's talk about you first, Kurosaki Isshin's identity. Lu Chengkong was stunned for a moment, thinking of Kurosaki Isshin and her mystery. He seemed to understand a little. I belong to the heirs of the vice captain of Team Zero, a member of the Kurosaki family, I can be regarded as the jewel of the Kurosaki family. As for the Kurosaki Isshin, the Kurosaki family is expected to become the current generation of the Zero. One of the two heirs to the vice captain. Kurosaki Masaki organized the words and said unhurriedly. With Masaki Kurosaki's explanation, Liu Qingkong has a general understanding of some secrets of Team Zero, or some secrets of the Kurosaki family. The story is a bit old-fashioned. Kurosaki Isshin has another Kurosaki family named Hei. The Shinigami of Chi-Ilu is the most talented and powerful Shinigami in the contemporary Kurosaki clan. And these two gods of death fell in love with Kurosaki Masaki, and after some inspiring fights, Kurosaki Masaki fell in love with Kurosaki Isshin, who had a peaceful personality and did not have much ambition and prefers a quiet life like her. Kurosaki Masaki was the daughter of the Kurosaki family and the vice captain of the contemporary Zero Division at that time, the jewel in the palm. Since Kurosaki Masaki has made up his mind, of course he can only give in on the surface. The peaceful life only existed for a long time and was broken. As a loser in chasing a woman, Ikiryu Kurosaki disappeared for a period of time after his failure, about a few hundred years. It seems that he was sent by Kurosaki Masaki's father. Star certain tasks. Actually, I don't want Kurosaki Ikiryu and Kurosaki Isshin to fight again. Since Kurosaki Masaki fell to Kurosaki Isshin, of course Kurosaki Masaki's father also favored Kurosaki in the choice of the vice captain's heir. Isaki, so of course Kurosaki Ikiryu has to be transferred. Kurosaki Ikiryu, who had not appeared for hundreds of years, suddenly appeared. Not long after he appeared, the father of Kurosaki Masaki, who had retired, disappeared mysteriously, and then Kurosaki Ikiryu's strength soared, completely surpassing Kurosaki Isshin, becoming the strongest of the Kurosaki clan after Masaki Kurosaki's father disappeared. Without all scruples, Kurosaki Ikiryu, whose strength has risen sharply, of course started his revenge. The day before Kurosaki Isshin was about to become the vice captain of Team Zero, he led some recruits from Team Zero. The members attacked Kurosaki Isshin and Kurosaki Masaki. Kurosaki Isshin, who was originally not as strong as Kurosaki Isshin, was seriously injured immediately when he was attacked. In the end, Kurosaki Isshin was forced to use Wuyu to defeat Kurosaki Isshin, who obviously did not want to fight with Kurosaki Isshin. He brought Kurosaki Masaki to the present world, and the members of the Zero Squad generally cannot appear in the Soul World or the present world without the order of the Zero Squad leader or the Spirit King. Although the Kurosaki Ikiryu at that time was the strongest of the Kurosaki clan at that time, he was not arrogant enough to be himself and never showed his true face. No one knew how mysterious she looked like the captain of the Zero Division. Or the strength of the Spirit King is comparable. So after Kurosaki fled with one heart, he used his own strength and the forces to win over the opposition in the Kurosaki family, and he also became the new deputy of the Zero team. Team leader. It's really a complicated grievance, but it's really bloody. I heard you say that Kurosaki Isshin and Kurosaki Ikiryu have always been comparable in strength, and their qualifications are similar. Kurosaki Isshin has you. Your father's support should improve your strength faster than Kurosaki Ikiryu. Why is he being overtaken now, and your father is also? Liu Qingkong didn't say any more. Although he is strong towards Kurosaki Masaki and has always maintained the attitude of a conqueror, it does not mean that he does not love Kurosaki Masaki, and seeing her bring up the sadness no bigger than the appearance of death in his heart is also very unprepared. I don't know why Kurosaki Ikiryu's strength has increased so quickly, and he is stronger than his father. I only know that the white-eyed wolf actually killed his father. Kurosaki Masaki said hysterically, the hatred and resentment in his voice makes people chill. What? No, it's not that he disappeared, but he was murdered. Liu Qingkong finally understood that Kurosaki Masaki's voice was so cold just now. It seems that Kurosaki Masaki's father treated her very well, otherwise she would not. It will be a little naive. When it comes to the body of the enemy who killed his father, the voice can be wonderful. The white-eyed wolf didn't know why his strength had soared when he came back. At that time, his strength was not much worse than his father's. Later, his father seemed to be worse off, and the white-eyed wolf also seemed to know that his father was adjusting him. He actually murdered his father, and after that night his strength has improved a lot, much stronger than his father. I don't think anyone would be his opponent except the Spirit King and the mysterious leader of the Zero Division. If he was using Wuyu desperately, it would be even more frightening. 496 Kurosaki Masaki returns. Such a big thing happened. The former vice captain of Team Zero was murdered. Could it be that the captain of Team Zero or the King of Spirit doesn't care? Lu Chengkong asked the last question in his heart. It seems that the Spirit King has only appeared 3 times from the past to the present, and each time it is an extremely important event, and the leader of the Zero team does not care about these matters, except for violating some prohibitions or destroying the balance of the Spirit King realm. Only then will she appear to kill the Shinigami who violated the ban, and she won't care about the struggle for power and profit. Kurosaki Masaki cried and said. So that's the case. So the Spirit King and the leader of Team Zero are the most mysterious. Lu Chengkong said with a hint. Yes, the vice captain of Team Zero or its members have been constantly changing, but from ancient times until now, only the captain of Team Zero has never changed, as if she is immortal and will never die of old age. Even in the eyes of the people in the Spirit King realm, the leader of the Zero team is even more mysterious and terrifying than the Spirit King. Kurosaki Masaki didn't know the meaning of Lu Chengkong's words, and told what he knew. Isn't it? Even in a powerful death god, you will get old and die. Is the leader of the Zero team already strong enough to transcend the shackles of the rules of this world? By the way, the leader of Yamamoto is still strong, or Kurosaki Ilu or Kurosaki One-Hearted Strength? Lu Chengkong asked a rather idiotic question, but one that he had to ask. Actually speaking, it's a miracle that Captain Yamamoto's strength can last for 1,500 years. The reason why he has been able to cover so long, and he is only the peak strength of the God of Death, has such a huge spiritual pressure and power. The combat power is completely not inherited by every commander-in-chief. Instead, a new captain must be selected by the Spirit King after the previous captain died in battle. The same captain will be blessed by the Spirit King. Although on the surface it is the peak strength of the Reaper captain, but the combat power displayed is not comparable to that of many Reaper who break the limit. The same can also make the captain live longer, and the accumulation of Reiatsu is much higher than that of those who break the limit. The God of Death must be huge, and his strength is not inferior to any member of the Zero team. This is a special ability bestowed by the Spirit King to the captain. If Kurosaki Ishin was at his peak before using Wuyu, Captain Yamamoto would definitely die, that is, only a stronger ant. As for the Kurosaki Aikiryu when I left, there is no comparison. Kurosaki Masaki said, here is an account of the original Kurosaki Ishin and Aizen's battle, although he recovered the power of the God of Death, but at that time he was still slowly recovering, and he had not fully recovered his sanity. In the end, when he fought Aizen, his strength was far worse than when he was the vice captain of Team Zero in his heyday. If his strength at that time was in the heyday or when he was the vice captain of Team Zero, then he could kill Aizen with just a wave of his hand. It was no different from pinching an ant. After all, the relationship between the vice captain of Team Zero and the team members, the gap is simply a bottomless gulf. No wonder, I said that Aizen got Bengyu and broke the limit. Although it is forced to break by external force, the power belongs to Bengyu, but the strength should exceed that of Old Man Yamamoto, a death god who did not break the limit, but the original Blue. However, Ran appeared to be very jealous of the Old Man Yamamoto. Not even directly fighting with Old Man Yamamoto is to use conspiracy or create a face to restrain Old Man Yamamoto's ability. It turned out that Old Man Yamamoto was blessed by the Spirit King. At this moment, all the doubts accumulated in Lu Chengkong's heart have been swept away. Without the trouble of problems, the whole person is more relaxed. If you have something to say, just tell me about your recent performance and tell me so many things. As long as it's not against my principles and things that I don't like or can't do, I don't mind helping you. Lu Chengkong glanced at Kurosaki Masaki, who hesitated to speak, as if he wanted to say something but didn't dare to say anything, so he said. The slave family likes that you can bypass Kurosaki Yixin and my family's life. Even if there is a conflict, for the slave family's sake, I hope the adults will spare their lives. Although Kurosaki Masaki has always been protected by his father, living in such a family is the jewel in the palm of his hand, and he still has some eyesight and insight. During this period of time, she has roughly understood the horror of Lu Chengkong, especially in her heart. There was a hunch that she felt that it was very likely that Ichigo Kurosaki and Isshin Kurosaki would confront Lu Chengkong one day, so she would say such a thing. "You're making it difficult for me." Lu Chengkong didn't give a clear answer, but his words made Kurosaki Masaki understand, and she knew what she should do. Ghost Path. Soul Oath. I, Kurosaki Masaki, swear by my soul that as long as Lu Chengkong is willing to spare the lives of Kurosaki Isshin's family, I am willing to be Lu Chengkong's most loyal slave girl, and I will never leave. Kurosaki Masaki suddenly spoke in a solemn and sacred tone. Word by word, she had obviously lost the power of the god of death and became a real ordinary human, but she could still use ghost ways. But after Lu Chengkong heard the latter words, she immediately understood, this is not a ghost. Do you accept it? At this moment, Kurosaki Masaki seemed to have regained the nobility and pride that a princess of the Kurosaki family should have. Holding the ball of light in his hand, he said to Lu Chengkong, as long as Lu Chengkong accepts it, then this ball of light will entering the souls of Lu Chengkong, and Kurosaki Masaki became part of the souls of Lu Chengkong and Kurosaki Masaki. As long as the content of the oath is not violated, there will be no harm. This is a kind of restraint of rules, just like the cultivator in Shenxia novels swears to the way of heaven. Let me declare first, if it really gets to that point, I can only leave their lives at most, but I will completely abolish their death power and make them ordinary people. Of course, this is only based on their and if they are killed by others, I will leave them alive. I don't care if they are killed by others. Lu Chengkong didn't want to tie himself up because of an oath, but being able to make Kurosaki Masaki submit himself through such a thorough, whether it is body, soul, mind is also a good thing. After all, before breaking the rules of this world, violate if you take this oath, the end will be very miserable. Okay, that's enough. Kurosaki Masaki thought for a while. She knew that Lu Chengkong had the charm and temperament of her body and that mature beautiful woman, plus her noble aura as the jewel of the princess of the Kurosaki clan. In addition to being a bit harsh on the means of obtaining his own, Lu Chengkong didn't really treat her as a slave girl after getting along with her during this period of time. Apart from being on the bed, as long as he doesn't touch his bottom line, Lu Chengkong is also very kind to her, and it can even be said that he loves her very much, so Lu Chengkong also made the biggest concession. In this case, she is not someone who doesn't know what to do. So she also made a little concession and agreed directly. She has made the greatest contribution and dedication to her former home with everything she has, and the sense of guilt in her heart has almost disappeared. Even if Kurosaki is standing in front of her now, she will not feel too sorry for him, or pain, shame. After all, her dedication is really great. To be able to make such a contribution after becoming a human being, even Lu Chengkong is a little surprised and admired by her. This is a good wife and good mother. 497 The taste of Kurosaki Masaki. Seeing the ball of light in Kurosaki Masaki's hand entering his body, Lu Chengkong was completely relieved of Kurosaki Masaki. From now on, this woman will belong to her forever, whether it is body, mind or soul, even if she is a form and spirit. Even if she is destroyed, she will not have the slightest idea of betrayal. Like Feijun, she is a woman who is soft on the outside and firm on the inside. She feels very guilty about her infidelity of her body, betrayal, and her debt to her family. She worries that one day she will not be able to control herself and completely surrender. Lu Chengkong's crotch. She is not a god of death, but an ordinary human being, so she has the decision just now. Since her destiny cannot be changed, she will use her best efforts to reduce the guilt in her heart. At the same time, it is also a kind of make-up for it. I don't want you to submit to me completely because of this oath. I will use my actions to get you, your people, your heart, and your feelings. I will do it one day. Lu Chengkong. There was a confident smile on the corner of his mouth, as if he was taking an oath. His tone was full of domineering and firmness. I'll wait. Kurosaki Masaki saw Lu Chengkong's confident, unrestrained, domineering appearance, the masculine charm, and the powerful fighting ability on the bed, so she couldn't help but lose her mind. After all, she is a human being. And, of course, everything about human beings, which could not have been the case if she was still a god of death. She didn't expect Lu Chengkong to say such a thing. He was domineering without losing confidence, majestic and manly. He clearly belonged to him. He didn't need to waste time and effort, but he still did it, invisible. Zongliu Chengkong has initially left a shadow in Kurosaki Masaki's heart, and now Kurosaki Masaki is quite a single nobleman. Kurosaki Ishin was long gone, because just now she had cut off everything in the past, and everything she owned already belonged to Lu Chengkong. In addition to Lu Chengkong's performance, because of the combination of appeals for various reasons, Lu Chengkong was able to he left a shadow in the heart of Kurosaki, who was gnashing his teeth and resenting him so much, that he would attack her in the future, and it would be easier to gain her love for him and his feelings. But before that, let's take a good look at the posture of the knight. It's a pity that Lu Chengkong's attractive state didn't last long, and he returned to his original shape. The rapid change made Kurosaki Masaki a little bit unable to turn around calm. However, when she came back to her senses, Lu Chengkong had already been pressed on her body, and entered her body very familiarly. Kurosaki Masaki was also a little uncomfortable at the beginning, but Lu Chengkong's powerful capital, superb technology and more knowing her body, her eyes soon became blurred, letting Lu Chengkong do what she did, and she became obsessed with herself. Oh me, I want to forget everything. I am new, Kurosaki Ishin. My home, all passed away. I have given everything I can. The Kurosaki family, I can't be sorry anymore. If you want to blame, you don't have the strength to keep me. Maybe the man in front of me said it well. A peaceful, happy, and stable life requires equal strength. Guarded. If you want to have a woman like me, if you don't have enough strength and capital, it will easily become a disaster. On the contrary, if you have strong strength, you will be very happy. Losing the power of death is already the best proof. Maybe only the man in front of you can have me. With this idea, Kurosaki Masaki seemed to understand something. The expression on his face became more real, as if he was happy from the heart. His voice became more seductive and hotter, and his plump body was like a water snake waist. The general twisting allowed Lu Chengkong to enjoy the wonderful taste of a mature and beautiful woman. The basement of the Urahara store became a lot more lively at this time, because Ichigo Kurosaki, Taihu Chato, and Yuryu Ishida, who had returned from training, were all looking at Kazuki Urahara as if they were ready for battle. By the way, because Yi was already Lu Chengkong's wife, so Chadu Taihu, who was supposed to be Yi's training, became Huling Taiji to give him special training. Uncle Urahara, why hasn't he left yet? Ichigo Kurosaki, who had awakened Zanyu with a little success in his training, said anxiously to Kazuki Urahara. What's the hurry? No one is here, why? Kazuki, who said I haven't arrived yet. How could the wise Mako-sama be late? I just stayed on the side to see if you spoke ill of me behind my back. Hirako Mako grinned, revealing 2 rows of shining teeth that were completely comparable to the Matekai in Hokage. The deputy factory said with a lazy expression. Standing beside him is the rotten wood Shanghai. It's strange, why does this guy's clothes look like that guy with facial paralysis? Ichigo Kurosaki found his clothes when he saw Kuchiki Hikari. He wore a star hoop on the left side of his head, and a red windflower yarn on his neck. The same noble, but Kuchiki Shanghai is more approachable than Kuchiki Byakuya, and there is no such icy aura that makes people afraid to approach and daunting. Kuchiki Shanghai, who had already left the Kuchiki family, didn't intend to use this dress, but all his clothes were made by his wife Kuchiki Yelling himself. In her wife's words, this is what I made for you personally, and it has nothing to do with the Kuchiki family. It is precisely because of Yi Ling's words that Kuchiki Shanghai did not remove the surname of Kuchiki and did not change this body to serve. What's wrong? Taihu Tudu asked strangely when he saw Ichigo Kurosaki standing there in a daze. Nothing. Kurosaki Ichigo was puzzled, but seeing the familiar appearance of Urahara Kazuki and the two in front of him, he also thought that he should not be on the side of Soul Society. Cut, why isn't Mr. Liu Chengkong here yet? It's not a good habit to be late. Urahara Kazuki gestured with a middle finger to Mako Hirako with contempt, then looked around and said. It's been a long time, okay. Liu Chengkong's voice sounded right after Urahara Kazuki's words fell. Such abrupt voice made Urahara Kazuki turn around, and he was surprised to find that Liu Chengkong and his party did not know when they had already stood there. Behind Urahara Kazuki and others. 498 Mako, who was eaten to death by Hiyori. Wow, I'm so envious, why do you have a bunch of beautiful women with you wherever you go? Urahara Kazuki didn't even speak, and the rude Hirako Mako jumped out and said first, watching Liu Chengkong standing on the left and right sides. The tyrant elder sister Zibo Kong and the hot and stunning enchantress Sishenyuan Yei. On her shoulders is a Yachi Ryu Loli who has always maintained a sweet and innocent smile, and behind her is a high school student, but Orihime Inoue, whose body is far from being as hot as many mature beauties, Hirako Mako thought. In the day of my own family, I feel that the way of heaven is unfair. You're not bad. You have Hiyori to accompany you wherever you go, Why did you disappear? Oh, by the way, I'll bring Hiyori, just tell him that Mako wants to have a lot of them too. Beautiful women accompany you. As Liu Chengkong said that, he pretended to turn around to look for Hiyori. He was so frightened that Hirako Mako rushed towards Liu Chengkong with a pale face, as if his dead parents were not so sad. The great god cried out. My lord Chengkong. Mr. Chengkong, you have pity on me, I am 80 high, and I have. It seems that he is destined to be eaten by the power of the sun in this life. Stop, I remember that we were all orphans. When did you come to a high hall? Liu Chengkong turned over and kicked Hirako Mako out with a dragon swinging his tail, and said to Hirako Mako without changing his face. Okay, everyone, how do you all say that you were the captain of the former party of the Soul World? Don't let some juniors laugh, the gate of crossing the world has been opened, then I will trouble Miss Kong to borrow your ghost way. Send them in, and Tai Jai will follow. Urahara Kazuki saw that Hirako Mako was still endless, and Kurosaki Ichigo and others were already impatient and had to come out and say. Hey, Chengkong, it shouldn't be very peaceful this time, why did you bring Inoue with you? Zibo Kong patted Liu Chengkong's shoulder carelessly and said. Don't underestimate Inoue. Orihime may be weaker than us in combat, but her repair and defense skills are definitely not simple, especially in repair skills. If she can get donations from famous teachers, her achievements will definitely be very high. Quote. Liu Chengkong glanced at Orihime Inoue, who was a little embarrassed by Konghee's words because he was weak and unable to help. He felt a little funny and had to explain. Could it be that you want Captain Ujiwali to teach her? As expected of Saifeng Yuan Yei, with a little clue, he immediately guessed Liu Chengkong's thoughts. That's right, although Orihime's repairing technique has amazing potential, the effect is already very good, but there is still a certain gap compared to Unahakali. I think Unoheim's ability should be interested in Orihime's ability. If she is willing to guide Orihime, I believe that Orihime's achievements in healing will definitely not be worse than Uno Hanaru. Liu Chengkong glanced at Yi Yi of Saifeng Courtyard with admiration, which made the latter's eyes flash with a hint of joy. For Yi Yi, he was happier than being praised by his beloved man. Maybe Liu Chengkong's words played a role. Even Kuchiki Kyukawa, who thought Orihime was Liu Chengkong's new target, at first glanced at Orihime in surprise, and Urahara Kazuki and others were even more surprised. Especially Kurosaki Ichigo and others, as classmates of Inoue Orihime, although they didn't have the deep friendship as in the original book, they didn't expect that this natural and usually a little silly ant would have such an ability to make Liu Chengkong such admiration, and even recommended to Ujiwali. Kurosaki Ichigo and others may not know the value of Uno Hanaritsu, but Urahara Kazuki and others are different. Although they don't know Uno Hanaritsu's hidden strength, it is only the healing ability that Uno Hanaritsu usually shows. And the way that even the roughest of warriors backed away in her polite tone. These alone are enough to make Urahara Kazuki and others admire very much, especially Ujiwali as the top person in charge of the medical rescue department. He has been in this position for countless years without being replaced, and no one even dared to give birth to the idea of competing with her. You can know the powerful medical ability of Ujiwali. It is precisely because of the many auras of Uranohana, so in the eyes of Urahara Kazuki and others, Uranohana's medical field and attainments are unparalleled, and now I suddenly hear that someone will heal in the near future. Of course, they were surprised that there was no less achievement than Maujiwali. If the person who said this was not Lu Chengkong, Hirako Meiko and others would have scoffed. Your luck is so good that even the gods are jealous. Kuchiki Shanghai said with a sigh. Maybe it was really good luck. I didn't encounter any detentions. I passed the boundary very smoothly and came to the crossing boundary gate, which has been separated for more than 60 years. What should we do now? Immediately rush over to rescue Mei Yan. Zibo Kong said eagerly. It seemed that she was really impatient to wait. Don't be in a hurry, let's understand the dynamics of the Soul Society first. Lu Chengkong shook his head, tapped on Zibo Konghei's little head, motioned her to calm down, and then walked towards Liuhun Street. Although Kong calmed down in the end, looking at her bulging cheeks and her angry eyes that were about to breathe fire, she told everyone around her that Zibo Kong had reached the limit. If you mess with her, the second generation will definitely break out, so even Hirako Meiko is very smart to shut up. Xiaolingmen, the entrance to the Xiaolingge, I really miss it. Hirako Meiko looked at the gate in front, and there was a flash of nostalgia in his eyes. When he entered the True Spiritual Art Academy, he took the exam here. What? This is the entrance to what garden? Great. Kurosaki Ichigo went through the training of Urahara Kazuki, and after completing Shikai, the whole person was a little flirtatious, if not rationally telling the people standing around him it is extremely terrifying. Maybe he has long been incompetent and arrogant, but he is only relatively restrained. Ichigo, the expressions of Tudu Taihu and Ishida Yulong changed. This is the base of the god of death, and they are still so arrogant, aren't they courting death? It's a pity that Kurosaki Ichigo has already rushed out, and they can't stop it if they want to. 499 Orihime who vomits blood. Let him go, and let him know that his current strength is nothing, no matter how good his talent is. He is born without the need to slowly accumulate and cultivate spiritual pressure like us, and there is someone else's spiritual pressure sealed in his body. It's not a big deal. Urahara-sama had long expected that he would get carried away, so he could suppress his arrogance. Urahara Kazuki's most loyal follower, but he is not as easygoing as the original Yoichi. Urahara Kazuki's orders are executed meticulously. Lu Chengkong can already foresee the future of Kurosaki Ichigo and Urahara Tejai in the corpse. Life in the soul world for a while, including studying Bankai, would definitely be tragic. Just as Lu Chengkong and the others were chatting without a word, a dozen huge walls suddenly descended from the Seirei Gate, blocking Kurosaki Ichigo's path. Inside the soul world, behind Seirei Gate stood a group of death gods, some of whom were still vice-captains. Looks like we don't have the chance to perform anymore. One of them said arrogantly. Yes, because there is a pill shop there. Hisagi Shubing didn't think there was anything wrong. After all, in the eyes of their group of death gods who had been at ease for too long, traveling through disaster was simply a group of insufficiency. It was their arrogance and contempt for the enemy that made Ichigo Kurosaki and the others in the original book still alive. Jingtae and others each came to make a big havoc in the soul world. Haha, it's been a long time since no one has been here. Come on, stinky boy, let's go. Saidanfang let out an unpleasant laughter, which made Lu Chengkong in the distance almost couldn't help but let out a flickering sound. In the past, damn it, it's not a sin for you to laugh badly, but it's a sin to come out and influence people. You guys just stay here and don't move, you are not allowed to help. After saying that, Shi Danfang roared, His muscles swelled, and the giant axe in his hand hit the ground at once, smashing the ground directly, making several. A large stone slab blocked Tudu Taihu's way. It's too exaggerated, the strength is so strong, and there is such power in one blow. Ishida Yulong said with a slight surprise. It's not bad, let's pass the time when it's a boredom-relieving movie. Kuchiki Shanghai said with the same expression as he looked at Saidanfang and Kurosaki Ichigo in front of him. You're bad enough, Ichigo is fighting there. It's so chilling for you to say such a thing. Hirako Mako immediately hugged Kurosaki, but unfortunately the expression on his face was similar to that of Kuchiki Kyukawa, not to mention that his current strength is far superior to the original, and he is no less than Hirako Mako, who was Aizen before he got Bangyu. Even Hirako Mako, who had ruined the future of the God of Death in the original book, completely ignored this level of battle. Ichigo-san will be in danger. Inoue Orihime said. Don't get me wrong, but she is in the same class as Taihu Tudu, Ichigo Kurosaki, and Yuryu Ishida. They meet every day, and everyone is a classmate. Relationship, with Inoue Orihime's character, her popularity at school is really good, nothing to say. In her opinion, Kurosaki Ichigo is just an ordinary friend like Tudu Taihu and Ishida Yulong, and his status is far less than that of Longui, but for the sake of everyone's classmates, he came to this place. The kind-hearted she will of course be worried about her classmates. If it is a stranger, she may be like this. After all, she is too kind. If this were all dangerous, that shrewd guy Urahara Kazuki wouldn't waste so much time and effort on him. Of course Lu Chengkong would not be jealous, because he knew the character and heart of Inoue Orihime very well. Patting her little head, she said a little funny. Oh, that means he can't die, then it's fine. It's just that sometimes the words of Inoue Orihime, who are too simple and cute, natural and nonsensical, can easily make people vomit blood. Although she wants to express it doesn't mean it literally, but she said this in a relaxed, cheerful and simple tone, which still left people very speechless. At least even the very serious Huling Tizai had a cold sweat on the back of his head. Orgigi is really powerful. Lu Chengkong almost couldn't help laughing, but when Konghi heard this, he didn't have any scruples and smiled happily. Inoue Orihime, who had no idea what was going on at all, looked dazed, looking at her cute appearance. She didn't even know that she said the wrong thing and used the wrong sentence. She couldn't help but kiss her fiercely on her smooth and fair face. Inoue Orihime's face flushed with a swipe, and she fell directly into Hinata's state, playing with the right finger. Originally, Orihime Inoue, who was still thinking about whether she said something wrong, only had one voice left in her heart. I was kissed by Changkong, so many people looked at me, and I was embarrassed. Does that mean he likes me very much? Oh, Orihime, what are you thinking? Don't be shy. Boy How from the countryside, I admit that you have some strength, but if you want to pass here, just beat me, eat my strongest trick, and sacrifice 10 Sidan. After repeatedly attacking Sidanfang, he found that the figure in front of him was very small compared to him. The country boy was not blushing or panting. His next attack was unscathed, which made him unhappy and also admired for a while. He is just the appearance. He looks fierce, but he's actually a more punishing person. I'm sorry, I'm going to chop your axe. Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes turned cold. Zanyu in his hand waved for a while. A blue-white cold light flashed past, and Danfang's wide eyes stared at his axe. It was actually smashed to pieces, but Kurosaki Ichigo's handsome pose has not been maintained for a long time, and it has collapsed under the Tears offensive of Saidanfang. Expensive. I lost. Your name is Kurosaki Ichigo, right? You have to be careful, although I don't know why you have to pass this door, but the people behind this door are really powerful. After a twist, Danfang still opened the jingling gate for Kurosaki Ichigo according to the agreement. Really? Of course I know what you said. Two people flashed in Kurosaki Ichigo's eyes. One was Renji Asanjing. Although he was defeated by him before, he didn't know why he had a feeling that it was the one at that time. Renji Asanjing definitely didn't do his best, and he would meet him again. The other, of course, was Kuchiki Byakuya, who made himself unaware of his defeat. Since you know, I'll give you the gate of opening. Don't be afraid. You have to rush over in one breath. The door slowly lifted up, but the pupils of Si Danfang's eyes shrank after lifting the door, as if seeing something terrible, and fell into a sluggishness, which should be said to be fear. 500 City Maru Silver Debut. Hey, why don't you move? Someone. Who is he? Ichigo Kurosaki walked in and found a man with squinted eyes and a fox-like smile on his face looking at him. He's the captain of the 3rd Division, Ichimaru Jin. Si Danfang seemed to be awakened by Ichigo Kurosaki, but his voice was still a little trembling. For people like Si Danfang, Captain Death is simply not inferior. In a divine existence. What are you doing here? I'm not asking you to be the gate of opening. Ichimaru Jin maintained a creepy smile that has remained unchanged for thousands of years, but his tone was very soft and not angry at all. Feel. As a gatekeeper, shouldn't it be the gate of opening since we've lost the battle? Si Danfang seems to have recovered a little bit of confidence, but unfortunately his confidence is not enough for Ichimaru Yin. It's not right for you to say that. As a gatekeeper, if you lose the battle, it will prove that you deserve to die. Ichimaru Jin waved the short zanpakuto gently, and a white light flickered. Wah! Si Danfang's right hand has been cut with a scar, and blood splashed out from it. You bastard! Kurosaki Ichigo rushed over and smashed Mount Washin with a single blow from Zanyu, but it was a pity that Ichimaru Jin was able to easily hold him back. Ichigo, retreat! Ichimaru, who was one of the old enemies, did not expect that there would be a captain here. Although Ichimaru Yin was still a teenager at the time, Huling Tizai felt a terrifying chill from this young man, and he must not be underestimated. What is it? Ichigo Kurosaki turned his head to look at Guling Tizai in confusion. Obviously, he had already gone beyond the scope of a newborn cow who was not afraid of tigers, and had already entered the category of arrogance, but his face it's not Yi in the original book, but Wuling Tejai, but he's not that easy to talk about. Oh, Ichigo, so you are Kurosaki Ichigo, hee, now that I know your name, I can't let you go. Ichimaru Jin didn't know if it was genuine surprise or fake surprise, and took a look. Glancing at Kurosaki Ichigo in front of him, he smiled, turned around and walked back slowly. What's the matter? What did he do with the knife? Kurosaki Ichigo's head was full of question marks, and Ichimaru Jin soon told him what he wanted. This is not a small knife, but my zanpakuto. Shoot him. The spear. Ichimaru Jin's eyes turned cold, and a powerful aura erupted. He put the zanpakuto on his waist, and instantly put Kurosaki Ichigo. Locked. With a swipe, the sharp spear in his hand blasted out like a blocking bullet. The speed was fast and the penetration was strong, directly piercing the air. Kurosaki Ichigo could only conditionally fire the sword. But it was useless. The power of the magic spear directly blasted him and Si Danfang out. Obviously, Ichimaru Yin deliberately kept his hand. Otherwise, the power of the magic spear could completely pierce Zanyu directly, and then penetrate Kurosaki. Protect the body. It's 88. Ichimaru Jin waved at Kurosaki Ichigo, as if saying goodbye to his longtime old friend. When the gate was about to fall, he saw Lu Chengkong, whom he had not seen for a long time, with a fox smile on his face. Vivi stiffened, at angles and speeds no one else could see. Ichimaru Jin's right hand moved, and an extremely imperceptible light shot into Lu Chengkong's hand, and the door fell at the same time. Hee, Ichimaru Jin, you are really powerful. You have diverted so many secrets of Aizen. Is this his whole plan? But you are really stubborn. You don't have to do anything. I'll just do it. Can kill him, huh? Does that mean that you don't want to fake someone? Lu Chengkong took out a piece of paper from somewhere in his right hand. There were only a few words in it, but he wrote down Aizen's main plan, his zanpakuto abilities, how to crack it, his weaknesses, and so on. Keep up. Lu Chengkong threw a healing ghost at him and healed Si Danfang's injury. This level of injury did not require Inoue or Ahime to take action. After calculating the time, he felt that he had enough fun. The live version of Grim Reaper also watched, so it's time to start. Maybe it was Ichimaru Jin's shocking blow, which made the fluttering Kurosaki Ichigo seem to have been drenched by a bucket of cold water. He calmed down completely, and at the same time, he recalled the horror of the captain's level. It really doesn't seem like anything in front of it. Zibo Ganji, you die for the old lady. When he came to Zibo's house, Zibo Kong shouted directly. The voice was so loud and the momentum was so fierce that the whole house shook. It didn't take more than 3 seconds. There was a falling swirl pattern on his trousers, and a big, muscular man ran out in panic. Eldest sister, when did you come back? Why didn't you tell the younger brother so that the younger brother can pick you up? If Zibo Mayan is the person that Zibo Ganju respects the most, then Zibo Kong is the life of Zibo Ganju. The most feared person among them, Zibo Mayan, can make Zibo Ganju restless by scolding him. It's okay to say that you didn't notify me of such a big thing happened to Mei Yan. Zibo Kongwei often sturdily kicked over and blasted Zibo Ganju directly out, and Hiriko Mako and the others were watching. With cold sweat all over her face, only Lu Chengkong can suppress such an invincible Yuji, and the others suffer with no luck. After a while, Shiba Gansu, who was covered in bandages, ran back. Of course, he kept apologizing. At the same time, because Shiba Mayan didn't die, he didn't hate death, and he knew that the group in front of him was going to save his brother, of course. And Rukia. So he was very willing to teach Kurosaki Ichigo and others to use the Spirit Bead Core, but it is worth mentioning whether Shiba Iwagura and Kurosaki Aikinoki are born with wood knowledge, and the two of them are still the same as in the original book. Seeing that the other party is not pleasing to the eye and fighting each other, of course, he is inevitably beaten by Zibo Kong. 3 cannonballs were fired, one for Kurosaki Ichigo and Shiba Gansu and the others, one for Hiriko Mako and Kuchiki Kyoka, one for Lulu Chengkong, one for Sora and other women. The day that I have been waiting for has come. Aizen, let me see what you have prepared to wait for me, and how far you want to test me. It seems that only you and old man Yamamoto are qualified to test me in the Soul Society. Well, you don't have the ability to invite her to take action, and I don't think you know how terrible Anohana is. Chi-chi. A very harsh sound came out immediately although the 3 cannonballs collided with the soul mask, but it was very coincident that the captains just stared at the top of the captain's conference room, of course, including Aizen Suyu. Introduced.